Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Chic from Chic Speaks. Come on in here. Come on in here. Hello, YouTube, Facebook. What's the new one I'm streaming to now? I done forgot the damn name. Is this Twitch? What's the new one? What's the purple one? Is this Twitch? I don't know, child. Obviously just damn hitting stuff. Come on in. Come on in. Classes in session. Y'all know I've been on vacation. So guess what? Break time is over. Time to get back to it. YouTube, like, who the hell are you? You trying to circulate what? What are you talking about? Okay, you want to put content on YouTube now? We don't know who you are, Chic Speaks. Who are you? Y'all, that's how I'm feeling right now. That is how I'm feeling as I'm putting this content out. YouTube, like, who are you? Who are you? So I got to get back in the algorithm. Y'all make sure y'all like this damn video. Because y'all, I'm not feeling the love these days. Listen, I just needed a damn break. I'm out goddamn jet setting in the seas and stuff for a week. And I'm just trying to get back into the groove of things, get the content out. But listen, Facebook, like, man, we don't know who you are. Ma'am. Now, what the hell you say you be talking about? And you say your background is what? Okay, we don't know what the hell that is, man. That's how I'm feeling, y'all. That's how I'm feeling. We see the damn Rose not, attacking, messing with folk. Y'all, it's been going down. I just be trying to take a little break, get my mind together, take care of my little mental health like I try to tell y'all to do. I just be trying, y'all. Then I come back and it's just like ish get to popping off. Folks going to jail, people getting their money snatched, folks trying to hold on to dear life to their channels. It's just like, God damn, man, God damn. Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to damn get myself together, get my little child last leg on my little cruise. Y'all know I was under the weather before I went on my trip. Y'all remember my husband that took a trip to Colorado. His ass got sick like the day after he got off the goddamn plane. So, of course, I'm like, he gonna bring his ass home and I'm gonna get sick. And this was right before we got to go on this damn trip. But I'm like, okay, he came home. Sure enough, within 24, 48 hours, I was down for the count. But I pulled it together before it was time to get on that goddamn boat. So I'm like, we all good in the MF hood. We good. We Gucci. We have the last stop to Honduras on Thursday. Y'all, bitch, went down for the count by Friday. I got off the boat Sunday. And I'm still trying to get my shit together. I'm trying to get it together while I try to get this content out and try to figure out what the fuck been going on while I've been jet setting around the world. So welcome. Classes in session. So y'all bear with me if y'all hear my goddamn ass coughing and hacking. But we gonna get through this goddamn book, y'all. We gonna get through this goddamn book. We finna hear what the fuck her mama got to say. Because I feel like Mama Janata got some shit to say. And I'm here for it. So y'all make sure y'all complete the survey. Are you here for whatever? Are you open to hearing what Mama Janata has to say? Like, we just want to, like, are you open to hearing it? Because she just got some shit to say. Shit. And y'all, this might, boost her little sales and stuff. I didn't tag her in this video though, but I'm sure it'll make his way to her. I'm sure she know who we are. Her baby know who we are, so I'm sure she know who we are. But she gonna know who we are after tonight. I tell you that. She gonna know who the hell we are. She gonna know who the hell the honor students are. But I'm sure she know who the honor students are. So come on in here. I'm gonna get through these comments, y'all. This is the book. I found it on Amazon for $15. Y'all, this book was cheaper than Kim's Lost Words book. Kim Lost Words book, that shit was like 20-something dollars. Kim Lost Words cost more. It's a shorter book too. Kim Lost Words was like 59 pages. Janarda's book is 101 pages. So it's like double. So we may have to do 2 shows on it. I got through Kim Lost Words in 1 show, but like I said, it looks like it's like half the size of what Janarda's book is. I thought Janarda's book was like closer to 60 pages, but y'all, we're going to get into it. So come on in here, like the video. Please, welcome. Hello, Vicky. Hello. Hey, Pam. Uh, Thank you, Pam. Listen, you two like, who the hell are you and what are you talking about? So I'm just trying to get back into the algorithm. Hello, Aqua. Hello. Hey, Karen. Class is in session, y'all. Pam says Rose is very ill. Yes. Yes, I guess that's a word we can use. We can go with ill. We can go with ill. Hello, Kathleen. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Amanda. So, hello, Chic. I'm interested on the content, but she did say she write it for a few times, I think, to get it right, or was it to remove or add certain information? But we will see. Child, we will see. But I know one damn thing. She told her daughter that I saw that live, y'all. Well, her mama was her and her mama was on that live, and her mama snuck in that plug for her book. And she gonna say, yeah, my book or whatever. And Rose started acting like she wanted to end the live. She's like, no. She's like, yeah, my book. And Rose, you're in it. Soon as she said that part, Rose acted like she wanted to hit in the goddamn live because she like, oh hell. Because Rose knows she showed her ass as a child, so she don't know what the fuck her mama put in that book. But we finna goddamn find out. And if she didn't know, she finna goddamn find out too if she's lurking over here in the bushes. Because I heard earlier in my live, somebody said one of the damn rosebuds on my fitness video earlier today was in the chat. I don't know if her name was Donna or something like that. I don't know the child, but somebody, one of them, they reckon on the mods be, y'all goddamn mods be every goddamn where. Y'all know every goddamn Amanda be like, bitch, I know who the fuck you are. Listen, y'all, Amanda sees y'all. Amanda's like that fucking G.I. Joe with the damn, you know how, with the army green shit all over her face, and she in green and she done blended in with the fucking bushes and shit. That's fucking Amanda in the UK. Bitches, Amanda see you. Amanda sees you. She sees all. She sees all. She's one of the Lord's chosen ones. Amanda see every goddamn thing. Man, like, bitch, I know the fuck you are. I screenshotted your shit. Amanda didn't screenshot everybody's shit. Oh my God, that should be funny, y'all. Oh my God, I love my goddamn mods. I will say that. Yep. So we got this book is 101 pages. It's 101. So y'all share this damn live because we about to get into it on the fence. Kathleen sat on the fence. Hello, Lamine. What are my likes looking like? Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button as you come on in. But yeah, we're gonna get to it because I want to try to cover and make sure we got my settings to regulate these damn trolls that may want to damn show the hell up. 17 votes. So right now we got 47% say yes, I'm here for what the hell mama got to say. And then we got 53% that's saying on the fence. We have no one who says no. So come on in, come on in. We are going to get started. But on my screen, this is the book. So let's see. This book, as you see, let me remove my comment. Man, it says, glad you know. Oh, bitch. Oh, yeah, I got stem. No, they better goddamn know because I know the fuck I know. Amanda, the phone storage, Amanda shit is full like my goddamn photos. I'm a person that take all kinds of goddamn photos and shit. So your shit look like mine's then. I know that's right. Amanda like that meme. Y'all see that Kim Kardashian meme and she in the goddamn bushes and shit? That's Amanda ass right there. Amanda sees all. Amanda says, I'm glad Rhoda has joined the mod as she's a real one as well. Yes, Rhoda is a real one. Maybe she'll join us later. But yes, Rhoda is our newest mod as of today. So y'all get ready, buckle up. We about to get into this goddamn book. Because make sure I got my goddamn water, my libation. Listen, I got goddamn water and Dr. Pepper, whatever the hell it's gonna take me, and my goddamn glazed donut, whatever it's gonna take me to get through this damn book. Because y'all know I done read a book before, so buckle up, bitches, buckle up. So let's see what she's talking about. So the back of her book, it reads, domestic violence and abuse of all types is a sensitive and questionable subject for most people. This book goes into details and puts you in the mindset of the abuser. It points out some of the actions that a narcissistic abuser does to manipulate the mind of its victim, while showing you how they use their tools and manipulation to attack a person in their most vulnerable moments. Although there are some details of events that the survivor had that the survivor had to endure, it is also inspiring, giving hope of a new life for survivors by the grace and power of God and your power within. All things are possible. The writer of this book went from running for her life to becoming a successful real estate mogul. Tragedy sometimes brings people closer to God, as in the case of the author. She knows from her testimony that only God could have brought her out of the cycle that she was in. All throughout the book, it quotes scriptures and gives amicable advice in dealing with the aftermath of a devastating ending with the hope of an amazing beginning. This book helps you to understand a few different types of abuse and how to see the red flags, how the writer escaped, moved on, and learned to forgive. The author started a nonprofit called New Life Choice for victims and survivors of domestic violence and abuse of all kinds, including psychological, sexual, financial, and emotional abuse, helping survivors to learn how to live life again after leaving the abuser. So that is the what it reads on the back of the book, Breaking Cycles, a story of breaking cycles of abuse. Okay, listen, Vicky. Listen, Vicky. Y'all don't be in here with shits now, y'all. Don't get this shit started. Y'all, I did find her socials, her Instagram, and she's in, okay, so she lives in California. I think her office is in Hollywood. So y'all know California is I'm from California, so it's super expensive to live in California. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from Northern California. So I'm from like right outside of like Napa Valley, San Francisco. But she's in Southern California. So Hollywood area, that's super expensive. That's going to be even more expensive than like the parts where I come from. So with that being said, yeah, you're gonna have you some little coins and stuff to live in those parts. So we gonna at least say that we know her mama ain't broke. We gonna go that far. We at least know mama ain't broke because of where she lives. And her socials you know, shows, you know, the home, her business and stuff. So I think mama doing okay. I'm gonna say mama doing okay. Mama's doing okay. Hello, Tanae. Hello, welcome. Pam said, thought the same. Y'all don't be here acting up. Hello, Nico. Hello. Vicky says she live in South Cal. Yeah, she says, I think her office is located because I found her business website. I think she's in Hollywood. So y'all get ready. Northern California in the house. Yes. West Side. Yes. So I'm from the small town. I'm from Pittsburgh. That's where I'm from. But yeah. To be exact, Pittsburgh, California. So y'all get ready. Please make sure y'all like the video because I ain't gonna listen, Maz. Y'all watch my likes because goddamn, I ain't gonna have time to be looking at that. So Amanda, I think you don't my only one. You the Lone Ranger in here for now. So Amanda, you go ahead and do what you do. I in here, watch my likes and the damn trolls, anybody that try to come in here. But I do have us on, I think a subscriber mode only right now with a 5-minute wait. So it kind of helps with the trolls. So let's get to it. So the intro to this book. She said, this is not a Cinderella story. Definitely not a fairy tale. Not even that good of an after school special, to be honest with you. It's my story and it has a lot of rough edges, broken dreams and broken promises. My childhood was full of joy. My mother did her very best to keep a smile on my face. She made sure that her kids were in extracurricular activities such as acting, dance, and modeling. As a young mother, I feel that my mom did the best that she knew how to do under the circumstances. As a very young mother of 2 children, by the time she was 19, although I feel that my mom did her best, it still was a lot of heartache to come as I started to approach my teenage years. And the first part of my adult life was even more traumatizing. I found out early in life that after that living the life of luxury, nice clothes, nice cars, and nice home didn't mean a thing when you didn't have someone who treated you right, someone who loves and cares about you, but rather sees you as an object with no feelings, like a trophy to show off when they want and toss you to the side when they are done, like an object with no feelings. Child, who the hell that sound like this running around doing shit like that to their damn kids? We only goddamn, we only in a fucking intro. This is what mama said what she was feeling like. Y'all, these fucking cycles. She was saying, listen, she was feeling like just a fucking object, a trophy to show off. I don't know if y'all know what Mama Janarda look like. Mama Janarda is a beautiful woman. Y'all better get into her. She's on my thumbnail, but her social, if you Google Janarda Makeupson, you'll see pictures of her. Her Instagram will come up. So type in, you see the name on my screen, Janarda Makeupson. And at the end, you can type in Instagram or IG and you'll get her Instagram page. But Janarda is beautiful. Rose looked just like her mom. She ain't got her mama nose, so she must got her daddy nose. But her mother's more fair, a lighter shade, a little lighter shade in her. But Janarda is beautiful. But she was like, yo, I was pretty, I was in these activities, but really low key, like I felt like a fucking object. Like, and y'all, we looked at Rose and see what goes on in her world. And we talk about with the older two children and how we feel like how they're being treated. And that's like what we be saying. We feel like it's like they're workers. Like she treats the husband and the kids like they're just employees. Y'all, these fucking cycles, like this is, y'all better get into this fucking book that I'm about to be goddamn reading. Make sure y'all hit the like button as y'all come on in here. We just getting started, y'all. This is page 1, y'all. So this is going to be a good read. And I'm going to try to say some shit in between. So this shit definitely probably going to be multiple episodes because y'all know I be having shit to say. So she said she felt like an object without feelings. That's what mama said. Whoo, child. Seen objectively from a long way down the road, I know that my struggles in life come in cycles. There's a pattern here, and it's not a pleasant one to think about or reflect back on. But it is important not only for my own peace of mind, but as a warning and lesson for young women around the world. If I can help even one woman avoid the sort of trap I kept falling into, I will feel like this entire life I lived has been worth it. My history with abuse started when I was a teenager and continued on into my adult life, especially after I became married. The experience of mental, physical, financial, and sexual abuse, and it got worse as the years went on. I know there are many of you who will read this book and wonder to yourself, why didn't she get out? It's a question I ask myself every day until I soul searched. There were so many times in my failed marriage when every single instinct was telling me to run, to hide, to go to the police, to tell a relative or a friend of a member of my congregation what was going on and ask for help. The worst part of that is that I know there are so many good people out there who would have risen to the occasion and had my back if I would have kept trying. I tried to leave a few times. He would always catch me at the door with my bags packed. He even had cameras in the house, and I gave up on trying to escape. Why? There are a lot of reasons I can tell you, but I think the one that keeps coming up over and over again is that I was afraid of what might be on the other side of that equation. Afraid of what it might look like to be alone and have to financially provide for my children without their father. Afraid of getting a divorce and being separated from my children. Afraid of what my ex-husband might do to me if I told him I didn't want to be with him anymore. Afraid that no one else would ever want me because I was a young mother with children and I will look as damaged on the outside as I felt on the inside, which is what he always made sure to remind me of. He always would remind me that nobody will want me except for him. That is one of the lines that a man uses when he wants to emotionally abuse you and scar you. He wants you to feel like you are worthless, which is far from true. Goddamn. So ain't that the truth? I talk about that shit, y'all. That's why I be on this channel. What do I say? When you look good, you feel good. You got to know your worth. You got to, because if you don't know what the fuck you worth, somebody will try to tell you. And listen, the lies I say, they will tell you. They will tell you. Get to know who you are. Because if you don't know, somebody be like, I'll tell you who you are. I'll tell you exactly who you are. And they will convince you of that. Why? Because fuck, you didn't know who the fuck you was anyway. So anything they tell you, you're gonna go with it. Mama went with it. Mama went with it. She didn't know her worth. She did not know her worth. So y'all, that was the intro to the book, Breaking Cycles, a story of breaking cycles of abuse. Janarda Jacobson, Rose Miller of Queen of Kings. This is her mother's book. Child, listen. What my likes looking like is 30 of you in here, y'all. Make sure y'all do me right. I got 6 damn likes. Y'all get me up to 20 likes. Give me up to 20 likes and we will carry on and continue on with this live reading. Get me up to 20 likes, please. 20 likes. Y'all, I told y'all I got to get goddamn back in the algorithm. Okay, so we at 25. We at 25. I just did a refresh. Okay, thank you guys. So, child, y'all can drop your comments. I'll try to, get into some comments and things as I go through the book. Angie says, probably from the time Kiki tried to tell her something on her live, that's Fight Roach Kiki. So y'all talking about that. But yes, if y'all have any comments or anything, okay. Thank you, Pam. Appreciate you, Pam. All right, y'all. So we're about to get into it. Was that still the intro? Are we still in the intro? Yeah, we're still in the intro. Okay, so we're still in the intro, child. So get ready. As I slowly came to realize, however, in any life is better than the one where someone else abuses you physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, and sexually. That is no kind of life at all. That's an existence where you convince yourself that things will be okay and improve if you just be patient and caring and understanding and act perfectly and don't do the kind of things that are going to upset that other person in your relationship. Over time, you stop seeing them as a partner and someone who loves you and start viewing them as a kind of ticking time bomb that is apt to go off on the slightest provocation. Eventually, you're walking on pins and needles around them. Yes, that is what I said. I felt as if I was walking on pins and needles all the time in my own home. Now you tell me if that is the way a young woman to live. When they're happy, you'll do anything in the world to keep them happy. When they're upset or sad or angry, you're just praying that their outbursts won't be too bad or that the kids won't see it or hear it. Thinking in those terms and at retrospect filled me with the shame and guilt for the situation I let my kids and myself fester in for so many years. It was a fake life, and unfortunately, the kind of life that far too many other women let themselves fall into without knowing how to escape. Before I start my story, I want to give you some statistics on domestic abuse that I hope will help you understand that you are not alone and your situation is not unique, that the only way to heal a relationship where one person raises their hand in anger against another is to get out of it. 1 in 4 women experience severe intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contacts, sexual violence, or intimate partner stalking with impacts such as injury, fearfulness, post-PTSD, uses of victim services, or contraction of sexually transmitted diseases in their lifetimes. On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the U.S. That equates to more than 10 million people in the entire year. 1 in 3 women have experienced some form of physical violence from an intimate partner, such as slapping, shoving, kicking, and hitting. 1 in 4 women have been victim of severe physical violence, such as beating, strangling, and burning by the intimate partner in their relationship. 1 in 7 women have been stalked by an intimate partner to the point that they felt very fearful and believed that they or someone close to them would either be harmful or killed. Women between 18 years old and 24 are the most commonly abused by an intimate partner. 1 in 5 women have been marred in their lifetimes. Of those, 45.4% of female R victims were R'd by an intimate partner. 1 in 15 children is exposed into intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitness to the violence. Victims of intimate partner violence lose a total of 8 million. Victims of intimate partner violence lose a total of 8 million days of paid work each year. Between 2003 2008, 142 women were murdered in the workplace by their abuser. This figure accounted for 78% of all women killed in the workplace in that time frame. 72% of all murder suicides involve an intimate partner. 94% of victims in these murder suicides are female. So these are stats by the National Council Against Domestic Violence. So what happened to me? What did this precocious, happy-go-lucky child, where did this precocious, happy-go-lucky child make the wrong turns and wind up having to fight for her life before she finally broke free? To understand it all, you have to start at the beginning. So that's just what we'll do. So Mama named out the stats. Domestic violence is no joke. So let's get into her story. Childhood Full of Dreams. Chapter 1 is called Childhood Full of Dreams. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio in the 1970s. Cleveland wasn't the best place for African Americans at that time. There had been calls against housing discrimination and redlining to keep blacks out in traditionally white neighborhoods. My parents were high school sweethearts. My parents dated on and off since they were 14 years old. My mother and father were a nice-looking couple. Mom was light-skinned. Father was nice-looking. Mom was light-skinned, petite, curvy, with pretty black, shiny hair. And my father had smooth brown skin with a splash of red, something like an Indian. His hair was black and curly, his teeth straight and white. All the ladies loved him. He had a smooth, low, deep tone to his voice. Not only is my father handsome, he is very smart. His goal before getting drafted to war was to be a doctor. My dad had been in the Army, and when he was enrolled, he had been exposed to and became addicted to drugs like a lot of other soldiers. When his service time ended, he kept on using drugs and flooded into the urban and low-income areas, and medical school was sadly forgotten for the time being. My mom didn't want us living in that environment anymore, a city on the decline. And with her and my father using drugs, my mom said she just looked around one day and did not want that life for her children anymore. She got a divorce from my father when I was just a new baby in the late 70s and moved her to the Golden Shores of sunny Southern California. One of my mom's cousins was already living in California and living what we call the Hollywood life, working at Motown Records. Motown might have started in Detroit, but it had moved to Los Angeles after the riots in 1960s. The biggest acts in the business were churning out hits from Motown: The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight, The Pips, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, just to name a few. My mom followed her cousin's lead and got a job working for Motown Records and Venture Records. It was a great thing for her, and she was able to shine and get out there and meet people. She was still incredibly young and beautiful. She would always get attention from men when she came up to my school. None of the children, teachers, parents even believed she was our mom because she looked so young. She was torn between enjoying her life and taking care of her children. She worked so much that my sister and I were staying at home by ourselves at a very young age. My sister was always so pretty to me. She had straight, long black hair, pretty smooth brown skin, pretty brown eyes, and extremely long lashes. Her eyelashes were so long that you could barely see her eyes. My big sister helped watch me and take care of me. We were cooking dinner, so it would be me on the table when my mom came home from work and we were staying home by ourselves. We knew to call my mom at work and ask her if we could go outside and play after we did our chores. We were very responsible at a very young age and always came in before the street lights came on. It wasn't the best life, but it was better than a lot of people I knew. Back then, I really thought it was fun. My mother would say that I was like her conscious because I always would watch her and never wanted her to do anything wrong. I remember one night after work, my mom came home to our little cozy home in West LA, and she was searching everywhere for her cigarettes. I looked at her with my chubby cheeks, chubby little stomach, smooth brown skin, and frizzy ponytail, just looking at her search. Then I said in my little squeaky voice, "Mommy, cigarettes are bad for you, so I flushed them down the toilet. I don't want you to die, Mommy." I was around 6 years old. I was always a little different and unique type of child. I was very observant and caring. I cared about animals, insects, people. I always felt like I was different. So my mom smoking was definitely not what I wanted. I remember how my mom would work to get me and my sister bikes, toys, clothes. Somehow she always came through. My mom was a single mom who hung around for fly girls, and I thought they were the prettiest ever. As they say today, baddest chicks around. All of them very young, pretty, and had good jobs in the music industry. The only one of them with children was my mother. So I am sure you can imagine how two pretty girls were treated and spoiled rotten. One of the four fly girls who was my favorite, Carrie, she was from Detroit, Michigan, and she had a limousine. So me and my sisters would get driven to school in a limousine, and all the kids thought we were rich. We ate at the best best restaurants in Malibu, Santa Monica, and Beverly Hills. My mom would drop us off on some days to modeling, dance, and acting class. It was downstairs from the record company that she was working at. I loved going, and my mom said I was a natural born star. I remember a scout came in looking for talent, and they interviewed everyone for the McDonald's commercial, including me. Well, I was chosen for the commercial. I was waiting by the phone for the call to announce who was chosen. I remember getting that call. I was so excited. Life was great. It was just the three of us, my sister Sherry, my mom Lauren, and myself Kim. Living in those Los Angeles, living in Los Angeles was so fun. I lived in a single parent home for most of my life. Thinking back when I was in kindergarten, I would hang out with my friends in Los Angeles until the street lights would come on. Always was happy to I was always a happy-go-lucky child who laughed a lot and loved a lot. I remember playing double dutch outside of my friends and walking to the corner store to get now and laters. If you grew up in the cool 80s, I am sure you know about Chico sticks, now and later candy, and sunflower seeds. As I look back on growing up in California and I picture my life, I smile because I see myself with my two ponytails, chubby stomach, smooth brown skin, and chunky cheeks. I can picture the sun shining on my face as I walk down the street to go to my friend's house next door to play. I remember how clean the air smelled, the warm breeze, the little things that I looked forward to in the morning, like going to my friend's house on the way to school, knocking on her door so that her and her brother could let me in to eat donuts and milk before school in the morning. The word simplicity means so much to me now. Little things in life that mold you and make you into who you are today. I know that I was different, a bit unique and strange as a child because I cared about things and people so much. I always was in touch with my feelings as a child. I was the type of child that after getting spanked would still want a hug and be back friends with the adult who spanked me. I never want to be mad too long. Imagine being that as a child. Those are not things that a parent really teaches you. Some things are just born with. Some things are just born with God. Some things you're just born with. God has made you and chose you for whatever He has for you before you were born. He knows you in your mother's womb. He literally knows every strain of hair is on your head. As I look back on my life as a sweet, lovable, innocent child, the love of God is more believable. I lived in a world full of wolves, but to me, life was so beautiful. I really loved Sunday mornings because of my mom. She would fix us nice big breakfast, bacon, eggs, grits, pancakes. I loved pancakes. After breakfast, my mom's sister and I would have beauty day. Beauty day was when we would polish each other's nails, do our hair, and just beautify ourselves while listening to the Motown sound. That is what my mother called it. We would listen to the music loud throughout the house while enjoying our Sunday. I lived in West LA as a child. I lived in West LA as a child. I would love to go outside to play. In that area, there were a few large hills. There was this one hill I like to ride my bike to the top slowly and ride down really fast. It really was danger. It really was a dangerous hill to speed down. It was such a rush to me. I also would go to the freeway that we lived by. Some of my friends and I would try to run across the freeway and back before the cars would come. If you are familiar with the freeways in California, you will know the game that we were playing called Freeway was a very dangerous game. I was so scared on this one particular day. I didn't really want to do it, but peer pressure is real and my curiosity is also very real. So as my heart beat fast and then faster, I ran across the freeway as the cars were honking. I was so scared, but I made it back to the other side. What a rush. Well, that scenario is how my life became a rush of highs and lows. The picture of my sunny days in California, of the smiles, candy, and happiness paints the picture of my life. Not only that, the rush of doing something that I knew I was not supposed to do also. Is that a part of the same picture? Well, I guess I've had a curious side since birth as well. Have you ever heard of the saying, curiosity kills the cat? Think about it. So, mama said, listen, she had a pretty good life starting out. Her mama had to leave a relationship where daddy was became addicted to drugs. So she became a single parent to two beautiful girls. So far, just from even listening to her, Rose's mother, Janarda, describe herself, her siblings, we know that Rose is very stuck on appearances and featureism and all of that. And the mom, the way she described, her sister and her mother, I get the sense that Rose grew up in an environment, in a home where looks was something that was often talked about. And certain features were things that were talked about as far as what were desirable versus not. And this is just going off of just the mom as she just talked about just features and looks and things like that in comparison to herself, her mother, and her sisters. So basically, mama's like, listen, my mama was bad, my big sister was bad, I was bad. Like we bad to the bone. So when Rose was born, Rose is seeing herself not looking. It seems like Rose didn't see herself looking like them or looking like anyone in particular. So there's that. So chapter 2 is called Shattered Dreams. Shattered Dreams. As I began to grow up, I realized what I wanted to be when I grew up to be an adult. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be famous. Adults would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I would put a big smile on my face and say, an actress. Well, I actually had that opportunity. I was able to be an actress in a McDonald's commercial when I was 6 years old. Out of all the kids in my acting class, they chose me, little me, chunky cheeks with a tooth missing. Me, yes, I thought I am going to be in a commercial. Well, the dream was shattered because the adults in my life decided that I could not do the commercial. I was totally heartbroken. My destiny shattered. I wonder how my life would have been if I did that commercial. I guess I will never know. Well, as I told you earlier in this book, I am not the type to ponder over unhappiness. So I have thought about that a time or two, and then I let it go. Part of the reason for me writing this book is to not only share my story, not only share my crazy life story, but to let you know how I was actually able to get through all the ups and downs and still be alive. I did not kill myself. I did not go to the streets. I never was on drugs. I do deserve a cookie for that. No, I do deserve to be myself. Do I deserve a cookie for that? No. I do deserve to be myself, share my story with you, and hopefully uplift, encourage you to get through the mess and keep it pushing. Well, moving forward after the commercial let down, I continued being a kid. I no longer had the dream of being an actress because that did not seem realistic any longer. I decided I wanted a family. I wanted to wait for marriage, have a husband and children. Some of that idea came from the people that I started to be around. My mom got married again, the first time since her and my father. I now had a stepdad in my life, and most of the people at the place of worship were married at a young age, and some already had children. Let's see. coming from a woman as of today, I could say that if your child wants to do something, you should completely back them in that. You cannot shelter a child from the world that they are going to have to be in anyways. You see, the adults in my life felt that a commercial would be too much for a small child, that the life of television was too much for children to go through. From my experience, as you will see when you continue to read this book, life is going to bring challenges regardless of what field or career you decide to take. So, parents, support your kids, support your kids' dreams. As I began to grow up and my family moved out of Los Angeles to the suburbs, I had friends of all races and ethnicities. I was well grounded as far as seeing many different cultures and ways of life. California is a melting pot full of different kinds of people. I did not grow up with any prejudice in me of any sort. I am very grateful that I was raised in Southern California because it really taught me plenty about life, good and not so good. I started to develop and notice boys. I had two best friends, and both of them were Caucasian. My closest friend, Jane, and I were like Batman and Robin. We went everywhere together. We had fun together, and we even got in trouble together. She was fair skinned with freckles, and she came from a really big family. I loved her parents, and and she loved mine. I'm a brown skinned girl, about 5'2" with curly hair. It never was a problem as it seems to be with today's racism. I really did not notice anything like that. My mind was not in that direction. I had so much fun getting dressed up to go to the movies with my friends, talk about boys, but never really did anything. My friends and I really were really not fast girls. We were just kids wanting to have fun, and I was enjoying life. I would dress up with our Michael Jackson leather jackets and neon socks. One of my best friends had a swimming pool. We would go to her house and get in the pool and play Marco Polo. She had a large family, and they treated me just like family. She had a huge impact on my life because good friends are hard to find, and sometimes outside people can become more like family than your own family. You are born in a family of people that you cannot choose. You choose your friends in life. Choose wisely. After middle school, I was moved to another city where life changed a bit for me. I found myself in a situation that I was awed and scared, and the scared life of wanting for marriage was thrown out the window. I did not have anyone to talk to, and I felt like I did not have anyone to trust. I was SA'd by someone that I knew, which was the hardest part about my situation. It was more of the trust issue. I started to feel like I had nobody to trust. I was not with my friends that I felt the most comfortable with, and I was thrown into the cage with the wolves. I wonder if my life was an actress. I wonder if my life as an actress would have been better. Who knows? Life is always a challenge. In one way or another, for me, this was only the beginning. After being essayed, I found myself on the streets. I moved out of my house because I was no longer comfortable living under the same roof as the people that were in my house. I felt alone. I could not talk to my parents because my mom had gotten a divorce from my stepdad and started dating another man. My communication with my mom was not there anymore. So I became a teenager on the run. I ran away and I lived on the streets. I lived in different homes. Friends that I had recently met, they treated me nice and we had good times. They let me sleep at their houses as a runaway, but it was not like my best friend that I had trusted and grew up with. I moved from that area and I never saw my best friends again. It hurt and everything felt so different. I totally lost myself. I started to learn how to detach from things at a very young age. I was able to detach from my parents, I detached from my best friends, and I detached from home. So let's stop there. I don't want to lose my train of thought. So the mom said after she was essayed, she ran away from home. She didn't feel safe with the people in the home. From there, she learned how to detach from people. So she developed this detachment style. Now, this is still all before her becoming a parent. So what this is letting me know was that, okay, as a parent, she likely started out as a parent, not being an attached parent, but being detached. She was physically there, but not present. And her lack of presence was rooted in, the abuse that she endured that resulted in her learning to just detach from people and things. That was like her safety mechanism. So keep that in mind. Uh, she goes on to say, after I became a runaway child, I started running wild, hanging around the wrong crowd in the projects at different friends' houses. My life was a mess. My only gateway was listening to music. I love music. It was calming, especially the oldies. I would go to school and go back to my friend's house and grab her snacks and go in her room and listen to music. On this one particular day, while upstairs in my friend's house, I heard her mom ask me to come downstairs. I ran downstairs and she talked to me. This is when she told me that my aunt was there to take me to Ohio to be with my dad. Her mom was so gentle and kind to me. She spoke to me in a way that made me feel better. She said, this may really be the best thing for you to do. So at that moment, I made up my mind that I was willingly going to Ohio, where my father lived. My father, who I had not seen since I was a baby, except for pictures. My mom moved me from him at the age of 2 years old. I have heard several stories about that situation from both parents. Each parent has a bit of a different story. Whatever the story is, I was on my way. So the mom life pretty much was like what Rose's life was. She was removed. She left her dad. I guess when she was 2, was living with her mom, and her mom had relationships. There was abuse. Now she's finding her way back to her dad. And Rose's story is, her parents were together, and then, once she was maybe like preteen, around that age, they, went their separate ways, and then it was a co-parenting situation. So basically just a cycle of broken homes, abuse and broken homes. It's a cycle. Let me see. How are my likes looking? Let me get through some of the comments. Get through. Let me see. Where are you all? Kathleen, you said suicide just passes the pain to others. Very true. Very true. But sometimes people feel that they just don't have no other way and they just want to be out. So again, a lot of times people who have experienced suicidal ideation, they experience depression. They're depressed. And they are depressed from just various things. Could be, abuse, abandonment, just different things. So typically someone who is suicidal or experiencing suicidal ideation is also experiencing depression. So just keep that in mind. Um, if you ever encounter someone who have thoughts of suicidal ideation, or if you encounter someone who expresses that they're depressed, those two things often link. So be watchful for any signs of them making or having thoughts or making attempts to off themselves. Just keep that in mind. All right. So chapter 3, pivotal moments. So now chapter 2 left off with her aunt coming to pick her up from her friend's house, saying, hey, come with me to Ohio. I'm going to take you to your father. She had not seen her father since she was 2 years old. So basically she has no memory of this man. She's seen pictures, but when her parents separated, she was just 2. She was a baby. So now she's going to be with this man who she's about to go be with this man who's she's being told is her father. Chapter 3, pivotal moments. I was put on flight to Ohio where my dad would be waiting at the airport to meet me. I had this one picture in my mind. It was a picture of my father. Let me take this off the screen. Let me see what I had this one picture in my mind. It was a picture of my father in an army uniform. I was hoping I would be able to recognize him on sight when I got there. I saw one guy that I thought might be him as I came closer. I realized I was mistaken. I looked around from left to right. I did not see my dad. My stomach was nervous inside as I anticipated what it would be like to see him. I started to relax and I stopped looking. I said to myself, don't worry, he will see you and come to you. He will recognize you. Just as I said that to myself, I looked across the terminal. There was absolutely no doubt in my mind who he was, my dad. I looked just like him. As soon as I saw him, I gave him a hug. I had been picturing this moment in my head for my lifetime. When I saw him, it was like meeting a stranger for the first time. But at the same time, I felt like I knew him. I had been let down by every man in my life that meant something to me, so I naturally had my guards up when I met my father. When I first arrived to Cleveland, I moved in with my aunt. She was the one that came to get me. I took the flight to Cleveland with her. She did not live in the house, but her two sisters did. It was okay for a while. That didn't last long. I wanted to live with my dad. Problem was, he had a girlfriend that he knew from his past. She was a girlfriend that he dated on and off for years. This woman was much older than my dad. My opinion, she always looked mean. She could dress very well. I walked in her house and it was really nice. Everything was expensive in her house. She owned a 4-unit building and it was fully rehabbed, marble floors and countertops. I wanted to live there with my dad. She never accepted me. She said that she was jealous of me and my dad's relationship and that I could not live with her. I was really enjoying having a father. When my dad was around, we had good times together. We listened to music in the car and sang together. I always felt so safe when he was around. My dad bought me a pair of tennis shoes and I was on cloud nine. I realized how much a daughter really needs her father, a man figure, to show them love. When a girl does not have a father in her life, she seeks attention from a man to fill that emptiness that she never had by not having a father around. You may have heard a conversation, the saying that a girl or a woman has daddy issues. Well, that is the meaning. Basically, when women seeks validation or comfort from a man because she never had the love from her own father. Those women usually end up hurt by a man before they realize the real problem, because sometimes they find themselves looking for love in all the wrong places. Well, as happy as I was to have a strong and kind man around that told me I was beautiful and reminded me that I was a queen, that feeling did not last long. His jealous girlfriend did everything in her power to keep me away. So I had to live with my grandmother, who is my dad's mom. She was a beautiful woman with long, black, shiny hair, high cheekbones, and a beautiful, creamy, light brown skin tone. She looked like a picture that you see in the Cherokee Indians, see of the Cherokee Indians in the book. My grandmother had a really great sense of humor. She made me laugh a lot, and she always said, "You need to put some meat on your bones, girl." She always fed me soul food like greens and cornbread. Her favorite in the morning was grits. Growing up in LA, I really didn't eat breakfast every day. Maybe on Sundays, but during the other days of the week, we ate cereal. It's funny, she talked about she didn't eat breakfast. So I talk about, if you all follow me on my fitness videos, I don't eat breakfast. I'm from California. I grew up like, if I did eat breakfast growing up, like it was like cereal. So living on in West Coast versus the South, like West Coast is in a culture centered around like food, like it is like in the South. So I feel like a lot of my eating habits is still the same, as it was, growing up, on the West Coast. So I just want to kind of make reference to that and point that out, because if people eat differently on the West Coast than they do in the South. And I still, eat like I from like people on the West Coast. It seems like a lot, and I still kind of have a small frame, but I'm not. I'm not from the South. My babies are all born in the South, but child, I'm West Side till I die. West Side, Northern California, Bay Area. She said she always fed me soul food, greens, and cornbread. Her favorite in the morning was grits. Growing up in LA, I really didn't eat breakfast every day, maybe on Sundays, but during the other days of the week, we ate cereal. So my grandma thought I was a little skinny. That's so hilarious, because that was me growing up. So my grandma thought I was a little skinny little girl in LA that needed food. She really tried to make me feel comfortable, and I was getting there. Problem was, I had a ball of confusion going on in my head, being displaced from the only place I knew, which was California, and being sent to Ohio. A completely different place was already a bit of a culture shock. Now I can't live with my dad because I am not wanted there. So I have to live with my grandmother. I have to live with my grandmother that I was starting to get to know again and love. But I just was not feeling good about any of this. I could not adapt and I really wanted to go back home. I love California and I would ask every time I call back home to please let me go back home. She said no. So I finally stopped asking and realized I had to adapt and put my big girl panties on, as they say, and take care of myself. I ran away from my grandma's house. I was not accustomed to the lifestyle that I was in, and it was hard to adapt without my father there. All I really wanted was him there. I feel like love helps people to adapt to situations that they feel a little uncomfortable. My dad is a great dad, and he always has been. He was going through substance abuse at the time, so he could not be the best version of himself as he is today. I understand now as an adult I understand that now as an adult. At the time, I didn't understand any of it and I did not care. So I ran away from home. Just like I did when I was in California. I found myself in the cold streets of Cleveland, living with a new friend that I found from school that I attended. I really liked this girl and she taught me a lot about the streets of Cleveland, but I barely knew her and that got old as well. My grandmother on my mother's side of the family let me come to live with her. I grew up around my grandmother and I loved her so much. She always came to California to see us during my years of growing up. I remember coming to Cleveland one time with my family to see her as well. I was a teenager for a short period of time. Moving in with her was a little more familiar to me. It made me feel like I was closer to home. I was so happy that she took me in and gave me my own room. She really took care of me. Grandmother worked a lot and could not babysit a teenager. She may have been a grandmother, but she was still dating and a jazzy lady. She was short and pretty, with curly hair and golden brown skin. My grandmother said she was brown sugar. She was brown sugar, and she always told me I was too. She always told me, baby, God made you just right. You have a little bit of everything, which makes a complete package. She said, Grandmama is brown sugar, and so are you. Then she would giggle. She had the cutest giggle. I wish I could hear that giggle sometimes, but now she is gone. Funny, I can still hear that giggle in my head. I learned a lot from that woman that raised me, but I really learned so much pivotal information that would make me into that woman that I am today from my grandmother, Sue. I had to be independent because my grandmother did not believe in micromanagement. She felt like once she told you the rules that you should do and respect them. I knew I had to go to school near my grandmother's house. I must admit it was a struggle going to school in Cleveland, Ohio, especially being the new girl from California. That's all I ever heard. I would walk down the halls and hear the students whispering to each other, that's the new girl from California. Some people like me, others cannot stand me for absolutely no reason. And some people didn't like me because all the boys liked the new girl from California, which so happened to be me. I was asked lots of questions about the lifestyle of California. So remember, I'm from California too. I moved to Georgia in high school when I was in 10th grade. My experience coming from California, coming to the South, it sounds a lot like hers. Um, I didn't really have direct people hating on me, but the kids, girls, guys, and girls would surround me in the classroom and ask me questions about California. They would just want to hear me speak because I spoke very differently. They thought I spoke very proper or very white. They wanted to know if my life was like it was on 90210. So I had to educate them on just the different parts of California and how I was from Northern California, and that's not where the beaches were. And child, when I told them I couldn't swim, they clutched their invisible pearls. They like, how the hell? Because everybody on 90210 goddamn swimming. What the hell you mean you can't swim? Listen, child, listen. I said I'm not goddamn from Southern California. So, but yeah, they would just be fascinated just by me and just have a lot of questions. And one girl even said, "Oh my goodness, like if she were to get a job interview, she won't even have to practice because she already knows how to speak." Child, that's what the hell the girl said. That's what she said. Listen, I moved to the South. These were some country folks in DeKalb County. If you know, you know. I live in Metro Atlanta, but when I first moved to Georgia, I lived in Clarkston, Georgia. Child, That school reminded me. Y'all seen the movie Lean on Me? I promise that school reminded me of Lean on Me High School. I did not want to go to that school, but I met some good people there. So I know the feeling of being different, coming from West Coast, and then going to a different part of the country, and people like, what? Who that woman is, Harpo? So that was my experience. Moving to the South from California. So she said they asked a lot of questions about her lifestyle in California. She says at the time, NWA, Too Short, the rapper, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg were out. The West Coast was the hottest place on the map, and Cleveland was nothing like it. As a matter of fact, no other state at the time could touch the West Coast in regards to excitement. It was just an exciting place to live, and I had questions asked about how it is in California all day at school. Yes, child, all day. I know those questions. All day I would have those questions too. As I was meeting new friends and trying to accept that I am not going back to California, I met a guy that I thought I was in love with. This was my first time ever feeling like I was really in love. Problem was he was 9 years older than me. I was just a teenager. Well, what happened next is just a continuation of the cycle. Hold on to your rail because the roller coaster ride continues. So mama met an older guy. She said, so at this point, she didn't say what grade she was in high school. I think she got out there when she was around 15. And she said this man was 9 years older than her. This man was 9 years older than her. So this would be Rose's siblings' fathers, because before Rose was born, I think her mother had maybe like 2 kids. So I think Rose is her mom's third child. So yeah. Chapter 4, ignoring the red flags. Ignoring the red flags. What do you all think of Rose's mama's story thus far? Remember, breaking cycles. A lot of her story is lining up to her mother's story, I'm seeing. And even, Rose, we know she became a mom at 20. She got pregnant at 19 with her oldest son and had him at 20. So I'm already definitely seeing the cycles. Chapter 4, ignoring the red flags. As I was meeting new friends and trying to accept I am not going back home to California, I met a guy that I fell head over heels about. This guy was much older than me. Me and my girls were at a high school football game, and he came up to us with his friends. I started talking to him. I liked him, but at the time, another one of our friends liked him also. After we got to know each other, we finally decided to go on a date alone. He took me out to dinner and the movies. He really treated me well. I had never had a relationship like that before. He was 9 years older than me, so of course I was sprung on the idea of being taken care of, and showed a life that I'd never had. He had lots of money and really nice cars. He really took care of me. I had new clothes, lots of jewelry, and some of his time. I was on cloud nine. Then shortly after, I started to realize that I was always getting into arguments and fights about this man with other females that he was messing around with. They would call my phone and even come to my house. He was a ladies' man. He took great care of me financially, but at the same time, he had other girls hanging around him. We started dating. I was falling for his charm when I started realizing he was cheating on me. One night, he came to pick me up from my grandmother's home, which is where I was living. My grandmother was very much up on games that men play. She also was a young mother and had been in bad relationships with street men and ladies' men. The same cycle. Some call it a generational curse. So that made it very easy for her to see right through him. She was not happy the night that she met him. She said that he was too old for me. She was drilling him with questions, and I was so embarrassed that I said something disrespectful to her. She says, "Aren't you too old to be dating my granddaughter? Why don't you date someone your own age?" I told my grandmother to please mind her business. Then I went on to say, I love him and he loves me. She struck me over the head with a wooden dough roll pin. I was so embarrassed and afraid of losing someone that I had finally loved. I ran out the house and down the street crying. He caught up with me and said, "I love you, but you have to respect your grandmother." He left and I left with him. leaving my grandmother heartbroken. As we kept sneaking around dating, I ended up getting pregnant when I was really young, still a minor. Now I am about to be in a teenage unmarried mom. I started cutting class in school so much during that time period because I was sick from being pregnant. My grandmother did not know that I was pregnant. Every day when she went to work, I would get dressed to go to school. As soon as she left for work, I would come back home most days and go back to bed because I was having horrible morning sickness. I was afraid at first to tell her that I was pregnant. I knew how disappointed she would be. She had so much faith in me. My grandmother always said, "Granddaughter, you are not like these other hood girls. You are not a street girl. You grew up with class." I was so afraid to tell her I was pregnant, so I was just dealing with it alone. In the meantime, I was having trouble with girls at school wanting to fight me. I told my uncle about the incident with the girls wanting to jump on me at school, and he gave me a pocket knife. He told me that fighting is not fair. He said, "Niece, when you fight, you are fighting to win." So I took his advice and ended up getting expelled for bringing a knife to school because I was always getting jumped by other girls who did not like me. One day, a girl called me out to fight. She was with her group of friends. Already heard they had planned to jump me. She said, "You want to fight me?" I said, "What's up? You want to fight me?" Although I really did not want to fight, I I really refused to sound scared. Then she rushed towards me and all her friends, and it was about seven of them. I brought the knife to school that my uncle told me to carry. Cleveland was a really rough place, and those girls were ready to fight. All I could hear was my uncle's voice saying, "It is not not it is no such thing as fighting fair. You fight to win." And I stabbed her in the side of her face. The knife dropped, and I was fighting about seven girls. All I remember is kicking and punching, screaming, and going crazy. I was fighting for my life. The principal broke the fight, and I was expelled. Excuse me, until the next year. Child, mama brought a knife to school. Listen, mama had a knife. She's like, "Listen, uncle said ain't no such thing as a fair fight. I got to protect myself." She was slicing and dicing. I saw one of the girls that I had a fight with at school a few days later. She was at the grocery store. She looked as if she saw a ghost. She told her friend to keep walking. "That is that crazy girl," she shouted. My uncle said if I beat up the main girl, then everyone else would stop messing with me. Everyone has the one uncle in their family, like my Uncle Jimmy, that runs the street. Let's see. Who, child, let me see. Everyone has a let me see. Everyone has that uncle in the family, like my Uncle Jimmy, that runs the street and has lots of stories to tell about how he beat up the entire block. Well, this time my uncle was right about that. He knew how Cleveland was because I did not have any problems with the girls in Cleveland wanting to fight me anymore. I did have another set of problems. I was pregnant at 16 years old. I had finally told my grandmother that I was pregnant. I was living with my grandmother for a few months until one day she had a talk with me, and she said that since I was pregnant, that I am now grown, and she told me that I had to move out before the baby was born. My boyfriend moved me to his house where I lived on my own. Just me and my pregnant belly. I was young, did not know much about life, and in a real relationship about to have a newborn baby. So here's this again, another common thing. Rose mama now pregnant, living with her boyfriend. Remember, Rose got pregnant and she was living in, at the time, her then boyfriend's family's house. So the thing they have in common is that they both were teenagers, pregnant, living underneath the roof of the men who got them pregnant. So that's a similarity that they both have. They weren't basically living lives where they were independent and kind of responsible for themselves. They were living lives to where they they were in positions to be under a control or influence of a man, because that's who was providing for them and who was putting the roof over their head. So any type of sense of empowerment was probably non-existent for both of them at this time, given their situations, their vulnerability, being pregnant with child, being under the roof with the man who's impregnated them. So when you're in that type of situation, think about it. Just think about, put yourself in that situation. How do you feel? Do you feel like, okay, you can just up and leave? Or say if there's some nonsense and things that's going on that you really ain't here for, do you feel like you can really just put your foot down and say, nah, like, I'm not here for this. You need to do better by me. You need to respect me. You need to do this, that, and the third. Like, what type of power, what kind of control do you have when you're the pregnant woman, you're the one with child, and you're underneath their roof, and you ain't got no money, you ain't got no resources. Your family then already said, listen, Janarda grandmama said, look, you're a woman now, and your charity got popped. You a woman now. It's time for you to go. So she's feeling like, damn, I ain't got nobody. All I got is now this man. And remember, this man is 9 years older than her. She is 16 years old at this time, with a man who's 9 years older than her. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So he's 25. Rose, her children's father, they were like around the same age. So she wasn't dealing with an older man, but she was dealing with a man who was still underneath the roof of his parents, basically. So she was able to be there because of him, So if it otherwise, she couldn't be living there. So still her home came through another man. It wasn't coming from, resources from her own family. So again, it's the codependency. And a lot of times when people feel, codependent, they start to feel like, they're losing themselves, like they don't have options. And that's just a place that you just don't want to ever be in, where you feel like you don't have options and somebody can just treat you and do you any kind of way. That's the cycle. This is the cycle. Amanda says, how many kids the mom have and how many fathers? I believe Rose's mom had ended up having 4 kids, 2 by this man, this man right now, because she's pregnant with the first one right now at 16. And I believe when she met Rose's father, she was a single mom of 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So with Rose's father, Rose is the oldest between her father and her mother. And then I think they ended up having a son together. So I believe Janarda has 4 children. She has 4 children total between 2 men. She was married to Rose's father, and we'll see if she ended up marrying this man who she gave 2 kids to, but she did marry Rose's father. Kathleen says, Cactus is raising a 3rd generation of being broken. Yeah. Hey, Francis. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. It's, I like to know people's story because it kind of helps us to kind of understand the things that are playing out before us. And, this book is titled Breaking Cycles, a story of breaking cycles of abuse. And we are we didn't already heard 2 generations of abuse. So we heard Rose's mama talk about like the situation with her mom and how all that went down. And then Rose's mom's generation, so like Rose is now we're already easily just from hearing the mom's story in generation 3 or 4 of just the cycle. You guys see how this cycle continues. And as we see that even within marriages, there are still toxic things pertaining to cycles that continue to repeat, such as abuse. So just because somebody wife you up or you're married, it doesn't mean that it's all good in the hood. What kind of marriage, what kind of relationship do you have? Because abuse happens all the time within marriages. Her mother was a married woman. Rose's grandma, Rose's mom's mom was a married woman. Like these women, as we're listening to these stories, they were getting married. So it's not necessarily just about being a baby mom. And I think with Rose, she just focuses on the marital part, not all the other part. Like it's deeper. Yes, you want somebody to make an honest woman out of you, but what kind of man is this that's trying to make an honest woman of you? Is this an honest man? Like, what kind of man is this? what kind of husband is he? What's the quality of it? And I think Rose gets stuck on just the title of things to where she's missing the piece about the quality of it. And that's just that whole keeping up with the Joneses thing of, okay, let me just say I'm married because it looks good on paper. Therefore, I'll garner a certain level of respect if people see that I'm somebody's wife or I'm this white man's wife. But y'all, it's deeper than that. When like it's deeper. It's deeper than that. As we went through Kim Porter's Lost Words book on my backup channel, she speaks on it. She never became that man's wife, and she was going through the fucking blues. And as we're going through this woman's story, who become a man's wife, and she goes through the blues. Y'all see what the fuck I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking about? Whether you got the same last name of the goddamn person, the man, the abuser, or not, you got to look at the culprit, the person behind it all. Like it's that part. You can't just for the sake of getting married, just fucking marry somebody. Like you got to look at who is this person? Is this person worthy? And you got men who will marry you, but they're not worthy, to be called your husband. So don't just get caught up in the part of just trying to be somebody's wife, ladies. Just don't, regardless on how bad some of you may want to be married. You can't overlook the quality of the person. You just can't. And I think a lot of people do, just for the sake of just saying they're married, they got a ring. And this is coming from somebody who is married. I've been married 20 years, October 1st, 20 years. So I understand it, and I push marriage. I promote it. I encourage it. But God damn it, what I don't promote and encourage is some dumb shit. I do not. I would rather see my ladies still single, doing their fucking thing, than to settle for some dumb shit just for the sake of saying I'm married and I got somebody. That's just not what I promote. No, it's quality. It's about the quality. That's going to come first and foremost. Then the rest of the shit come. But if that quality, if he ain't hitting on shit or she ain't hitting on shit, then move around, period. Move a fuck around. I don't give a damn about no goddamn title or none of that. Miss me with that. Because again, stupid shit, stuff that ain't right, it ain't done right, it's not going to stand the test of time. You're not fucking hitting 20 fucking years on some damn some unkosher shit. It's just not. It's too much goddamn work in it. It's not gonna work. That shit gonna fall apart. It's gonna fall apart. It ain't gonna last. So quality, ladies, over anything. So let's get back to the story. So we're talking, this is Rose mama Janarda Jacobson's story. And she is talking about now being 16, pregnant, living with her baby father, who is 9 years older than her. So when I do the math, she's 16, he's 25 at the time. Let me see where we left off. Trying to figure out how to take care of my new baby with no real adults around. I'm not sure where my dad was. I do not know what he experienced. I do not know that he experienced the sickness of drug abuse again. My mom was still in California, and now she fell into the drug crisis of the 80s, which was really bad in California, and started using drugs and alcohol as well. I thought to myself, at least I have my man, that he is my baby's father. During my pregnancy, he would stop by sometimes and take me to the delicious soul food restaurant, and sometimes take me out to movies. On occasions, I was all up at night calling him and wondering where he was. He disappeared a lot, and sometimes for days. I just wanted him around because being pregnant and alone was no fun, and he was taking care of me financially while I was pregnant. He convinced me that those girls who called my phone were just jealous and that he was not cheating, and I believed him. I never could see the writing on the wall. He cheated on me with different girls and his ex-girlfriend while I was pregnant. And he got her pregnant as well. I had a stressful pregnancy. My heart was broken. Listen, y'all. So remind y'all, this is just pregnancy number 1. I believe she gave this mofo 2 kids. This is that shit I be talking about, where the signs, like how we got to use discernment, where shit gets revealed to us, but we still choose to stick around far too long. So y'all, this was all just from pregnancy number 1, and this shit's popping off. And remember, keep in mind, I believe that was a second pregnancy that came from this mofo. My water broke and my baby's father was nowhere around. He wasn't at the hospital when I had my baby. Fortunately, I had people who cared about me. My grandmother was dating a Polish man. He was a really nice guy. He later became my granddad a few years later. They were married in Hawaii. They were married in Hawaii. Both of them were there for me at the hospital when my baby was being born. I held his hand the whole time, squeezing it so tight that his hand went from white to red. He did not have any children. He did not have any children on his own, so this was his new experience for him. I must say he did very well. I really missed him. Being around such a caring man really made me have hope that there are still good men in the world. He was a white man, which is one of the reasons why I do not believe certain people of certain races are all bad. It is the individual person. So grandmama married a white man. Mama Janarda just spoke on this white man and basically just talked how this white man was a savior. Remember, Rose got her goddamn white man too. So I'm pretty sure Rose grew up hearing the story of, or grown up and seen, her white grandfather. This is the introduction of just the superiority of the white man being the savior. The white man was there when she gave birth. Y'all see what I'm talking about? So you all think that Janarda through the years shared the story, talked to Rose about this white man. Because remember, baby daddy wasn't there. Her fucking daddy wasn't even there. But the white man was there. The white man, he was there. And wow, he got another woman pregnant. Well, yeah, what they call them ghetto twins. Where I live in Georgia, when a guy get two women pregnant and they have siblings and kids in the same year, they call them ghetto twins. Yep. Francis says the traits that they share are undeniable. Y'all, I'm saying you got to get into people's story. That's what because it really kind of helps to kind of connect the dots on a lot of damn stuff. Kathleen says, let me see. Why Swizzle Chic in chat. Hey, Why Swizzle, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Have y'all hit the like button? I'm not keeping up with the likes because I'm trying to get through the book, but you all come on in, like, share, and subscribe. But we're listening to Rose's mom's story as she talks about giving birth to her firstborn child by a man who's 9 years older than her. She's 16 at the time, and the baby father is 9 years old, and he is not at the hospital. But her mother, her grandma married a white man, and so her grandmother and this white man are there at the hospital by her side as she gives birth to her firstborn child, I think who happens to be a baby boy. I try to make it work with my child's father. It was a challenge because the girls and women were not going away. He was a real ladies' man, a real playboy. He had multiple baby mothers, and it was always a new secret being revealed. I was young, and he was older than me. I fell into his trap and found myself pregnant again. This that shit I'm talking about. Listen, I tell you, she found herself pregnant again. How the fuck we get? But y'all, this is that stuff. I am a product of a teen. From a teen pregnancy. My mom being pregnant. Remember I talked about ghetto twins and people getting pregnant. My father had another woman. I have a sister. Her birthday is August, so she's 2 months older than me. Her birthday's August. I'm October. We would go to school together. We knew each other. We knew each other were sisters. We just look at each other. Sometimes my mom says she'd get us mixed up when she come pick me up because we look so much alike. Really, y'all, I feel like I look more like her than the sisters that I have where my mom birthed. I have a set of twin sisters. I feel like I look like that sister more than my other sisters. But we would just see each other and look at each other because we knew we were sisters, but, we weren't really exactly raised around each other, but we knew who each other was. So we kind of just look at each other and, we knew we looked like each other, but that's what happens. They call it, what I heard in the South when I moved here, they call them ghetto twins. So I guess I got a ghetto twin, but yeah. So yeah, my mom had me at 16. So yeah, shit. So she got pregnant again by this mofo. Sure did. Let me see. He had multiple. Let me see. I fell into his trap and found myself pregnant again. He ended up going to federal penitentiary. I would catch a bus from Ohio to Northern Carolina with my child to visit him. Right before he was locked up, I ended up finding out I was pregnant again. I was very scared and confused about what to do, especially knowing that he was fighting a case and could go to jail. While catching buses alone to visit him in a strange town, I found out that another girl was doing the same thing. Hell no. Not y'all on the same damn bus trying to go see the same damn janky man. This woman was not even one of the girls that I knew about. Y'all, this was a whole nother one. This one was not even one of the girls that I knew about before he went to jail. In my mind and heart, I knew that that was my breaking point. Was shit. Finally, will this cycle ever end? I thought. I asked him, "How could you cheat on me and you are in jail? Is this possible?" He said, "Don't worry about her. She is taking care of me financially while I am here. You just take care of the kids." He was promising to marry me when he got home, so I was faithfully waiting for him. Meanwhile, after my baby boy was born, I looked into the eyes of my beautiful child, and that is when I realized that I had to live right and depend on myself for my innocent children who depended on me. I started doing things for myself the right way for the first time. I was working 2 jobs. I bought my first car. I was raising my children at home. By the age of 18, my children meant the world to me. I never wanted them to want anything. I was working 2 jobs and I was doing okay for myself and my family. I never wanted my children to experience living in the projects or struggling. I had in my mind that they deserve so much more. I always put them before me. They were wearing name brand clothes and shoes when I wasn't even wearing them. I always put my innocent children first. They were just babies, and as a parent and mother, and the father is all a helpless baby has. I wanted to protect him and be the best mom I knew how to be. My mind triggered on when I was a child how happy I was. I wanted them to experience being happy. Since my children's father ended up in jail, I was now a single parent, working 2 jobs. Long hours was too much. So I started coming apart at the seams because I was working too much and tired. One night, driving home late after my third shift job at the warehouse, I fell asleep at the wheel. Fortunately, God was shifting, was Fortunately, God was shining his light down on me and protecting me. I woke up and I was in the middle of the street with cars zooming by me on all sides. I was terrified. I drove home and eased up on my work schedule. I finally decided to leave my children's father alone. My uncle's girlfriend always would tell me that I deserved so much better. She always reminded me how beautiful I was. She would ask me if I knew how beautiful I was, and I would say yes, but deep inside, sometimes I was not sure. So much drama and so many scars inside made me question my worth. Hold on, let me get some water, you all. Okay. If only I was a woman I am now, then. I told her I did not want to leave him when he was in jail because that is when he needed me most. She looked at me and said, "Now is the best time for you to leave him because you can give yourself time to get over him." She knew that it was hard for me to let go as long as he was home. I knew that I knew that he may not be the man for me. I just wanted it to work for my kids. And he was my first love, my first real boyfriend. It was easy for me to let go the day that one of my friends called me and said, "Girl, there is a girl named May that has a tattoo of your man's name on her. She said he is her man. We saw her at the mall. My friends were like detectives when it came to me. They managed to get the girl's phone number, and I called her to ask her a few questions." Sure enough, she also thought that she was in a relationship with him, and she also has been going to Northern Carolina to see him. I was done after that. There was no way that I was going to continue waiting faithfully for a man that cheated on me constantly. I told my uncle's girlfriend that she was right. Now is the best time for me to move on with my life. He called me that night and I broke up with him over the phone. I asked my granddad I asked my granddad on my mom's side of the family if I could give him rent and move in with him for a while. I was burnt out, realizing that if I kept burning myself out this way, I was burning, it would be death. It would be the death of me. Moving in with my real granddad was a challenge because he lived with his wife and some of her adult children that still lived at home. I love my granddad, and spending time with him was memorable. He was an awesome and amazing person. He was handsome, very fair skinned with long ponytail, really fine hair, tall and very funny. He always had such a huge sense of humor. I loved him so much. I miss him. I remember riding in the car with him, and my song from the group called Escape came on. The lyrics went, kick off your shoes. Let me see. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. Party on down to the escape beat. Just kick it. Well, Granddaddy decided to change the lyrics to kick off your shoes with your funky feet. Being around him was always memorable and good times. My granddad was another great memory of a man in my life. He had married again. The woman that he was with had adult children, which were my aunts and uncles. Most of them were really nice, but the house was a bit crowded for me and my two children. I really appreciated it at the time. I was thinking that I would not be there for long. Hilarious. She need to be listening to her mama goddamn story because it might save her. Hell. Welcome, Ariel. Welcome. Hilarious. After let me see where the hell I left off. You threw me off with that one. Let me see. After living at my grandfather's house for a while, I started to go out sometimes with my aunt. She was a little older than me. She liked to hang out and have fun. I wasn't even 21 yet, but somehow I managed to get in the club with her. So one night, after one of our long days and nights of having fun, my aunt and I decided to go to the store. While in line at the store, a guy started talking to me. He told me he would buy me anything in the store I wanted. I said all I wanted was what was already in my cart. So he paid for my groceries and asked for my phone number. I was a single mom of two and thinking I really didn't want to get into another relationship. So I told him, why don't you give me your number and maybe I'll call you later. So y'all, this is Rose's father, the pastor. Rose's father enters the picture. She meets him at a grocery store. Rose's mom is a single mom with two kids at this time. So she meets this man and she accepts his phone number. So he told me his name was Raheem and he gave me his number. I took it home and didn't think much about it. But my auntie was with me when I met him and she was all over me to call him. She reasoned that if he had that kind of money and was willing to spend it on a stranger, then he must be a good man and the kind of provider who could take care of me and my kids. Initially, he didn't really like my type. And initially, he didn't seem like my type. He looked like he had just finished fixing cars. His clothes looked dirty. I just assumed that he was a mechanic. So I decided to call him and see what happened. After a couple of days had passed, I called him and we ended up talking on the phone for hours. It seemed as if he wanted some of the things in life I wanted. And we were really hitting it off over the phone. We kept talking on the phone and he wound up almost telling me he loved me during one of the conversations before we had even gone on a real date. Child. So he was love bombing her. That really threw me for a loop. Finally, I agreed to go out with him. He showed up to take me out in a really nice car with his own driver, which I hadn't seen outside of my stepfather in California growing up. This time he cleaned up. His clothes were nice and he smelled good. He had on a nice hoodie, nice jeans, and a pair of Timberland boots. He picked me up in a nice car, cleaned and smelled good. He had a chauffeur, which I later found out was his friend. He really wanted to impress me. It worked in his favor. He treated me like a queen that night. We went out to a nice restaurant to eat. We were having a really nice conversation. Everything seemed good so far. After dinner, we went for a ride and he was playing one of my favorite CDs at the time, Toni Braxton. I loved her music. It was a great night. He laid his head on my lap and asked me to rub his head. I rubbed his head and then says, I really had a good time with you. I do not want this night to end. Would you like to go to Las Vegas? I had never been to Las Vegas before, so I said, yes, why not? I barely knew anything about this guy, but it just felt right. I feel like this guy is saying all the right things and he is doing all the right things. And I am single with 2 kids and a baby father in jail. What do I have to lose? Well, I had to learn the hard way. The patience and getting that patience and getting to know someone better is the best thing to do because people will eventually show their true colors. The mask will come off. Child, this man had her with a basket of groceries, a Tony Braxton CD, and a road trip to Vegas. Y'all, that's listen. Y'all, he had her with a bag of groceries, the Tony Braxton CD, and a road trip to Vegas. A trip, let me say, I say a road trip. Let me just say a trip to Vegas because she ain't in LA at the time. She probably Ohio. So a trip to Vegas. So she got flued out. He tried to fly out. Listen, she like, shit, you the one. You my next baby daddy. You the one. What y'all said in these comments. Kathleen says, Kathy's mother put it in print for anyone. Yes, she like, listen, hear my story. Justice says she's very headstrong and hard-headed. I've tried with this young lady. Yeah, her mother says she's very hard-headed. Amanda said, not Las Vegas as well. Yes, he's like, listen, you want to get flued out? Ariane said, y'all better stay out of Las Vegas. Well, it's too late for mama. It's too late. Mama like, Ariane, where the hell you was at 30 years ago? Where were you 30 years ago? Because listen, it's too late now. Amanda said, this is so many similarities. Yeah, it's the little things. It's the little things. Like some people, it's just the little things. And Taylor man said, night. He smelled good. Listen, them smell good. Listen, a man that's smelling good. So, okay, so he got her with a basket of groceries, the Tony Braxton CD. He smelled good and she got flued out. Listen, child, listen. This is how Rose came. Y'all want to know how the hell Rose came? This is how she came. Tony Braxton, and that's my favorite singer too. So me and mama both loving Tony Braxton and the man that's smelling good. Oh, I'm glad mine didn't turn out to be like him. No, Lord Jesus, because I was got on a man that smelled good, y'all. Man that smelled good, but mine's worked out. But y'all don't be getting suckered just because he smell goddamn good. He got to have some other goddamn qualities too. But goddamn it, yeah, make sure he do smell good. Hilarious. Let me get back to this book. Y'all be throwing me off. So let's see. She said the mask will eventually come off. We drove to a hotel and I made it clear to him that we can hang out, but I am not having any sexual relations with you, I said. I told him that if I go to Vegas with him, it will be on the terms of no strings attached. He said, that's perfectly okay. He says, I like you and you are going to be my girl. I can't lie. I wasn't against the thought of being his girl either. While at the hotel watching TV and planning for the Vegas flight, he said, I have to leave. I will be right back. I had snacks and a soda in a nice hotel away from our grandmama house where multiple people live. Why not stay and wait? So that is what I did. I was lounging, watching TV and enjoying myself. I must have fallen asleep because hours later, I heard a knock on the door. It was him. I looked at the time and it was morning. I was like, what about Las Vegas? I was upset because he left me in the hotel all night long alone and I had fallen asleep and it was morning. We went shopping and I had to go home to check on my kids and pay the babysitter. He gave me some money to pay the babysitter and off we went to Vegas for an overnight trip. Everything was nice in Vegas. So how the fuck we get from your fucking ass then left, got ghosts, didn't come back until the fucking sun up. And then you take me home to pay the sitter so we can get flued. I don't got nothing. Child, listen, goddamn it. Listen, ain't no fucking way this man should have turned into this woman, this Rose's daddy. Not with these shenanigans. She said she woke up, his ass was just lit. The sunlight had beat him home. She like, what the hell you went? He talking about, listen, don't worry about that. You ready to go? We about to go to Vegas. Because remember, she had already told him, I ain't giving you none. So he like, fuck that. All right, well, shit, I'm about to go get it from somewhere else. I'll be back because I need something for the road. I need something for the road. Kathleen says, I will follow any man that smells good, but when he turns around, I'm already running. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Who got somebody? Listen, she said he took her back to the house. They paid the babysitter a few more dollars. So I guess she had a sitter just for the night. She came back home and said, "All right, sitter, yeah, I'm gonna need you for another day or so." So, and then he went ahead and paid the sitter a few more dollars so they can go ahead and go on to Vegas. So yeah, somebody had the keys, but he handled that. He went ahead and polished the sitter on, took care of the sitter, and they went on to Las Vegas. She said everything was nice in Vegas. Unfortunately, I would learn that he was a hustler and he liked to gamble and be in the streets just like my last boyfriend, who was the father of my kids. Guess she had a type. Complete stranger. Yeah. Yep. So I remember thinking to myself, why can't I find a nice guy, normal guy to like me that I also like back? That seemed to be a cycle that I could not break at the time. My praying and love for God was always within me and part of my life. It was just not my daily way of life like it is today. Because it was, the Holy Spirit would have caused me to discern that I was on the same path leading to the same cycle. He was not as old as my kid's dad, just a few years older than me. He always had money and he did not mind spending it on me and my children. I never had to ask for anything. He would just take care of things without asking, and that was attractive to me, especially because I was raising my kids and doing everything financially by myself. He said that I was not like the other girls out there. He liked the fact that I would work and make my own way by myself. He said that is the reason that he does so much for me, because I never really asked. He said that he realized that I was really different when my car broke down and I did not ask him for help to fix it. I worked extra hours at work and got it fixed by myself. I was accustomed to money, so my outlook on it was different from other females. He said that I was not a gold digger and just looking to take all his money. He liked that about me. I felt like I could finally be a teen with someone, and it felt good. He asked me to move in with him, and I did, not realizing that he was living with another woman that he had children. What the fuck? What now? What the fuck? What? So what, he done brought into some sister wife shit? Not can you come live with me and she take her ass over? Because remember, she was already with the uncle, the uncle house, who had a wife and it was grown kids over there, and that was already damn a full house. Now he'd invited her to come over to where he at with another woman that had kids. This is shit, y'all. And this is all before her getting pregnant by this fool. Like, this is we ain't even got to, oh, and I'm pregnant. We ain't even got there. Ariane says, like, mother and daughter don't care about the kids. Sad. Like, child, we ain't even got there yet. Amanda says that Ariane, I said that early. Only difference, Rose has always had her kids where her mom let them with the dad. Yeah. Amanda says, apparently Brett's baby mom lived with them. Justice says, I'm convinced that certain guys smell disheveled young women, and women like mouth. Yep, I believe, yeah, that they can pick up, a woman who's destitute or who's in need and lacking. Definitely, that's my thoughts. I definitely agree with that, Justice. I kept asking him if I can go to his house, not knowing that I could never go to his house because he moved his kid's mother in a house downstairs from his own mother. I said, how was I supposed to move in with you if you're living with another woman? Of course, he said that they were over. He explained he walked in the barbershop and the guys were playing a videotape of a woman having sex with a customer, and that woman was his woman and his kid's mother. He found out that she was cheating, and he just did not want to put her out with the children, y'all, because she did not have anywhere to go. What man giving a damn about where you got to go if that's how he found out you was running around on him? So that's the story he told her goddamn ass. He had been with her since she was a teenager and they had 2 kids. I believed him, and that was actually one of the things that he did not lie about. First, we were staying at an extended stay hotel room together, which is when the red flags really started. I had already seen a few prior to this incident that I overlooked. However, this incident was not one that I could make an excuse for. I remember him getting angry because I questioned him about his baby's mother. So he took the chicken, macaroni salad, and greens that he had just purchased and threw them across the hotel room at me. I saw a side of him that I had not seen. I thought to myself that I need to leave. As I was getting my things to leave, he grabbed me and said that he was sorry. He said that he just does not like hearing about her. He made it up to me by doing and saying all the right things. He really knew how to make up well. I was thinking that I was in too deep. I can't leave now, is what I said. He said he is sorry and will never do it again. So I stayed. I just forgave him for his outrage because I didn't want to think that it had anything to do with anger problems. After staying in the extended stay for a few months, we rented my grandmother's house. We later bought it from her, fixed it up, flipped it for profit. That was our first taste of real estate investing, which was a business that we ultimately went in together. He proposed to me on our first Valentine's Day together. I said yes. I was excited about my life. We were having good times, and he had not shown any more anger for a few months. He took me on another trip to Vegas, child. Y'all, Rose love that Vegas too, because remember she ended up that's what her first job was at Vegas on the poles there, from what she say. He took me on another trip to Vegas, just him and I. In the same year, I thought I was on top of the world. I was rolling around the city in nice cars, getting spoiled with money and gifts. I thought I was finally happy. He made me feel like we were a family. A family is something I always longed for since I was a child. Besides all the red flags that I ignored, I was finally happy. Child. She ignored a whole damn lot. Sheik, who wrote this book, the mom or Rose? It's the mom. This is the mama's book right here. This is mama's book. OMG, Brett's baby mom lived in no. So this is not Brett's. This is not Rose's story. This is Rose's mother's story. This is Rose's mother's story. So Rose's mom got Rose is her dad, and he moved her in. But what she came to learn is that he was living with his baby mama and her children, and she didn't know that until when he moved her in. So, and again, this is all before she became pregnant by him, but she still stuck around because this man was basically doing things for her financially, basically love bombing her, and she stuck around and ignored all the signs because basically for the lifestyle, like we see, like for the facade, the presentation of everything. So as we talk about cycles, when we look at Rose's life, with Rose, everything is about just the facade, the presentation, the appearance of things. And as we see with her mom, it was the same way, because even though there were all these signs that this man was not the one, he was abusive, he was a liar, he was a cheat, she still kept things going for financial reasons, because he was able to provide her things that she no longer had access to since her first kid's father went to jail, because he was a street man as well. So she's attracted to street men who are about that fast life, getting the fast money. So she wondered why I keep attracting these kind of men, because you are what you attract. This is, you're a magnet. This is what you're attracting. There's nothing that was about her that was attracting, a good quality man. So this is what she was attracting. This was what was gravitating to her. So again, this is Rose's mother, Janarda Makeup-Sin's book, Breaking Cycles, a story of breaking cycles of abuse. There are a lot of similarities between her mother's story and Rose's story. Kathleen said, this is Cactus' mother writing her own abuse story. Correct. Amanda says, Ariane, that I meant as it sounds a lot like Rose. It does. It sounds a lot like her, but that's often, when the cycle kind of repeats itself. Hamdi said the money will make many females linger. Yeah, we see it. We saw that with this book reading I did with Kim's Lost Words on my backup channel. Sheik speaks on it. If you haven't check that out. Check out that. I did a book reading on her, her alleged lost words, her story, and very similar. That's why I say, with abusers, you can be poor and be in abusive relationships, be rich. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like Kim's mom's story, Janarda, Kim Porter's story, Janarda's story, they have similarities. Some of you, if you've been in any abusive relationships, or people who've been in abusive relationships, a lot of time, as Amanda said, money talks. People stay in relationships, abusive relationships, for the money and the resources. For money and resources, they will stick around, and a lot of times they don't survive to get out of it. Best case scenario is to at least survive to walk away from it, but there are a lot of people who do not. So let me see. Chapter 5, Types of Abuse and IBV, Intimate Partner Violence. Emotional abuse, psychological abuse includes non-physical behaviors that are meant to control, isolate, or frighten you. This may present in romantic relationships as threats, insults, constant monitoring, excessive jealousy, manipulation, humiliation, intimidation, dismissiveness, among others. That's from the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So what I read to you is a description of just various types of abuse. Ariana said, money in Vegas don't mix well. The Great Lake said, let's never forget the rules is in the square. Prostitute and Brett is an abusive dope fiend and boyfriend. Mexican pimp and square pimp with Jesus. You say, let's not forget that, okay? So, types of abuse and intimate partner violence. Okay, so emotional abuse, chapter 5. I was going through some emotional abuse from him. I let it go because I wanted a happy life for me and my kids. I remember one day in particular, it was hard to ignore. He told one of his friends to go and get a paper bag. He put the bag up to my face in front of one of his friends and said, she just barely made it. I was like, what are you talking about? What cut? What cut? I said frantically with an attitude in my voice. He laughed and says, you just barely made it because I usually don't date light-skinned girls. I just made the cut because I was not as dark as the paper bag. I knew at that moment that he was sick, especially when he was dark-skinned. Looking back and analyzing things today, I realized that he did not like his own self. His mother was dark. His father was dark. And one of his baby mothers was much darker than me. It sounds to me that he wanted to pass his cycle of insecurities down to me. When I asked him, how could you judge my color when I am caramel brown woman and you have children with a very dark-skinned woman? His excuse was young then, but moving forward, he only talks to light-skinned girls. All of that is abuse, mental abuse, to break me down and thinking that I am just barely enough. I was so worried about getting a summer tan because if I got a little darker, I would not be liked by him or he would not find me attractive anymore. So y'all know Rose always talking about skin tone, things like that. She's a darker complexion woman. She's darker than her mom. So if this is a story that the mom is telling about Rose's father, of course, Rose grew up hearing and knowing the sentiments that her father has pertaining to skin complexion. So again, when we talk about, with insecurities, who did Rose said did the bag. So Rose's dad did the brown bag test to Rose's mom when they were dating. I had never heard of a such thing until I moved to the South. And there's a guy that once told me when I, living in Georgia when I was younger, like, yes, I date you. You passed the brown paper bag test. I'd never heard him. Like, what is that? And he's just like, okay, because you're You're not darker, your color is just right, you're not darker than the paper bag, because I usually, like light skinned people. So that was my first time ever hearing such a thing. Growing up in California, I'd never heard that. And remember, Janarda's from California as well. She'd never heard that. So but at this point, she's in Ohio. So West Coast, that was just something new, clearly to her and myself. But that's what Rose's father told her. So remember, Rose is a darker complexion. Rose is darker than me. She's a chocolate woman. So just think about growing up. What types of things did she hear pertaining to skin complexions that resulted in her developing an insecurity about her skin tone, her features, her hair? Because in this book, we've heard her mom talk a lot about just what people look like. She described a lot of family members being light skinned, really nice hair, long dark hair, curly hair. Pretty much everyone so far that her mother has described from an aesthetic standpoint are like people who don't have the same characteristics as Rose, other than she mentioned a grandma having high cheekbones. But as far as complexion, hair texture, yeah, they're not the description of Rose. They're not. So I would say that Rose may very well stand out a lot amongst people within her family, just with her being a more darker complected woman. So there you go with that. Amanda says Rose said that in one of her videos. Yeah. Ariana says, so is a dad with the white chicks now? I know the dad is married. Rose talked about her dad is married right now. I think he's been married for about 12, 13 years. He's a pastor. I don't know what the wife looks like, but he is married. But given that he doesn't like darker complexion women, it's safe to say if she is black, she's fair skinned, or she may be other, but she's likely not dark skinned. Pam, how sick. Exactly. So again, as we're taking in this information from her mother's story, we bump that up and get some of the things, the behaviors that Rose demonstrates, some of the things that she say, how she views, think about it, how she views her babies, the two younger one in comparison to the older ones, because they look very different. The two smaller babies, 3 and 4, looks very different from 1 and 2. And she constantly compliments 3 and 4. She tells number 4, she loves to say, you're so perfect. You're so perfect. She tells him that. And then she tells number 3, she compliments how beautiful his hair is. So I've yet to ever hear her say anything complimentary to her 2 older boys who have the same phenotype as her. They look just like her. I think I was on someone's page. I don't know if it was hers, but it was a video or something that they had. And I think it was a live the other night, and the camera was on Raiden, and I just saw her whole face on him. And I'm like, oh my God, he looks exactly like Rose. He looks exactly like her. Like, it was just, when the camera went, it was just like me seeing her face. It was just crazy, but that's just how much he looks like his mom. But you never hear her compliment them pertaining to their looks. She only compliments the younger ones. So think about it. Do you all think that Rose got complimented ever for her looks by her? Just think about that. Hey, Rhoda. Hey, she said, that's the struggle we dark-skinned women go through. Welcome, Rhoda. Welcome, Queen Rhoda in the house. Welcome, welcome. Ariane says, I love me dark and all. Yes, God. Yeah, I mean, Rose has an insecurity that developed from childhood. And think about, this is before she's born. So keep in mind, you all, we're going through the story and the mindset of the parents before her existence. So y'all don't think that just because she popped out and she came into this world that suddenly the mindset here just changed from anybody. It didn't. This is what she was born into. Shanta said, Rose father, mother's darker skin. This is some sick stuff. A lot of times, yeah, you see dark men all the time. They be the main ones talking trash about dark skinned women. Queen, you said you had some struggles as far as with being dark skinned women. Have you seen that dark skinned men be the one? A lot of times, the main ones that got slick ish to say, they probably darker than it be the ones, but they're projecting their own insecurities. Hamdi said, unfortunately, that will cause sibling rivalry even after parents pass. It's sad. Exactly. We already see it in Rose with her kids. There is definitely going to be some issues growing up, with the two oldest ones, when it comes to the two younger ones, because they're going to feel like the two younger ones were the favorite children, where I call favorite children the golden children. Number 3 and 4 are the golden children for Rose. Those are Rose golden children. And all 4 of those kids are going to understand and see the differences. 3 and 4 are going to know that they were the favorite kids. They were going to know that they were the ones that were told perfect and complimented. They're going to grow up watching, make little colorist comments to their brothers. You know how kids darky, nappy hair. That watch, y'all gonna see that it's going to happen. It's going to happen because they're hearing the rhetoric in the house from the parents. So they're going to, the names and things that, things are going to be said amongst each other. I have children, my kids, my oldest son is brown skin like me. And then my 2 younger kids are light skinned like my husband. So raising them, I raised them in a way, we talk about color all the time. And now the kids be goddamn slick. My damn daughter, she be slick with the damn mouth. She sometimes gets slick with it. She a damn Aquarius. And y'all know she gets slick with it and say some slick shit about my oldest son. And she may say something in reference dealing with a color or whatever. But when she does do, I kind of check her and because I don't want that to be a thing between them where it's about color. But sometimes the other one, they my oldest son will be on my 16-year-old. Okay, they say, oh, that's some light skin, damn, that's some light skin shit. Middle son Jason, my middle son is Jason's light skin and my daughter is light skin. So, they have their little comments, but, they'll have it playful. But we have conversations because I know colorism is a thing. And I never wanted any of my children to feel that because one had a certain color, was lighter than the other, like that there was any special treatment or anything like that. My husband is very fair skinned. So my younger ones took after him. My oldest one took after me. So within my family, we got goddamn all shades. I think my oldest son is probably slightly darker than me. So me and my son are the darker ones, in the house, and I'm the darker one of my siblings. So we talk about color, and I don't want any treatment or changes, anybody be treated differently just because of the different shades. And then my daughter has my husband's hair, which is like a very silk texture. But right now, me and all 3 of my kids, all of our hair is locked. So we're all natural. So like we have these conversations, but I never wanted anything with them to be about just featureism, the skin complexion, hair texturism. Like we had those conversations because kids they'll start saying some shit now. So you got to step in and be like, hold on, Kimo Sabe, hold on. So it is definitely going to happen with Rose kids. But the thing about it, it's going to be like, well, mommy, I heard you saying this. One thing my kids can't say, they hear me saying anything pertaining to any of that, to my kids. I don't say that. So they may hear some shit in the streets at school, but they do not hear mama and daddy make reference pertaining to anything pertaining to color and things like that. Because, I just don't want them to know superiority complexes just because anybody looks a certain way. You got to have those kind of conversations. You have to. Hamdi said her husband even made a derogatory comments which viewers noticed. Yeah. Justice says so sad but true stuff in the families, right? So now we all see, where the colorism, it enters the chat, and this is before Rose is even born. Emotional abuse is so bad because it stays with you longer than physical abuse. The scars are deeper and they never really completely go away. It makes you question your worth over a period of time. I never even thought about color. I always knew I was beautiful. No man or woman had ever said anything like that to me in my entire life. I was so confused and started to question myself. I still stayed. Looking back, I guess I felt it was not enough to make me leave. Physical abuse and intimate partner violence, IPV abbreviation, intimate partner violence, is a domestic violence by a current or former spouse or partner in an intimate relationship against the other spouse or partner. IPV can take a number of forms, including physical, verbal, emotional, economic, and sexual abuse. So that's according to Wikipedia. Physical abuse is any intentional act causing injury or trauma to another person or animal by way of bodily contact. In most cases, children are the victim of physical abuse, but adults can also be victims as well. And that's according to Wikipedia. Physical abuse. Shortly after that incident, I got my first glimpse of the darker, meaner side of him. The side that in my heart of hearts, I think I had just been waiting to see emerge. Based on his temper, from time to time, I just wasn't expecting it to be this bad. Mental, psychological, and physical abuse. It was a cold night in Cleveland, freezing outside. He was not home and it was getting late. I needed to go to the grocery store. I called him before going. He was not responding to me, so I made my way to the store alone. My car was in the shop and I needed a ride back. I had bought food for dinner and for the rest of the week. I called him, but he was too busy to come get me when I called. So I told him I would call a friend for a ride instead. He went insane with jealousy. He said, "You are going to call a man for a ride?" I honestly told him I didn't really know who I was going to call yet, but it wasn't a big deal. It will not be a man. I just needed to get home. I heard it in his voice that he was angry. So I said, "Don't worry, it will not be a man." But I could hear it in his voice. He did not believe me. So he told me to wait there and he would send his driver, who is also his cousin, to pick me up. So after grocery shopping, I checked out, went outside while waiting to be picked up. His cousin came all along. He was in the car with him. He picked me up and dropped me off at home. I was asking his cousin where he was, and he did not have a clue. I walked in the house and brought in the bags. After putting up the food, I was upstairs unwinding. I heard him come in the door downstairs. I was getting ready to go downstairs to greet him. I could not even make it downstairs before he came literally running upstairs. He ran up the stairs wearing some of the brown steel-toe Timberland boots that men wear when they're working outside. He caught right of me and swung his leg all the way back and brought it forward straight into my chin. All I saw were the guts of the meat of my legs splattered in all directions. I am a girly girl. I am 5'2". I was slim and petite with curves. He was 6 feet and husky, and that kind of pain was nothing like I'd ever felt before, and I was screaming and hollering. He just stood there watching me wither in agony and pain. He wouldn't even take me to the hospital. I had never been in a fight with anyone before that I felt that much pain. I had never seen that much blood and guts gushing out my leg. As I hollered, he just acted as if he didn't care. I was shocked to see how cold hearted he can get. I should have just left him, but where would I go? I felt as if I was in too deep. We had a home together. We were starting a family and a business. My kids did not need anything financially. It did not. Hold on one moment, please. Let me get some water one moment. Okay. I felt as if I was in too deep. We had a good home. We were starting a family and a business. My kids did not need anything financially and did not have to worry about stressing over taking care of them alone with no father. I finally had a man of my own and my kids had a father. I thought to myself, I had already been through so much at such a young age. I did not know my worth anymore. The mental abuse of feeling like you just made the cut. Your family doesn't want you, and this is the best there is. These were feelings of a young woman that was bruised mentally and physically. That was my first time seeing his temper come out like that, but unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last. So again, mama's feeling like, well, I ain't got nobody else. This is all I got. Does that sound like somebody else's story? When you feel like you don't have supports of anybody else, so okay, well, I got these kids, I got responsibilities. When I turn to my right and my left, I don't have nobody. All I have is this person. things ain't quite right with this person, but hell, this all I got. We all, so what else can I do? This is what it looks like when a person it gets in a situation where they feel like there's no way out and they have no supports. It's a dangerous place to be in. And a lot of times, abusers like to have you in that type of position to where you feel, where they have you feel as though you don't have any place to go, or they'll point out to you, well, you don't have anybody. Where else are you going to go? You don't have any money. You don't have any resources. Nobody love you. You got these kids. So that's the mental abuse. And he was already playing mind games already before he got physical with her. So usually a lot of times before the physical abuse start, the mental abuse comes into play. And it just kind of goes downhill from there. Amanda said he wasn't cussing like the dad video. How could she coach that boy to even think like that, let alone speak like that, the dad and grandparents? Yeah, so we're seeing the cycle. It's the cycle. That was the beginning of the cycle of violence. My babies were little, and he started putting his hands on me whenever I did something he perceived as being wrong. I would pack my clothes after a beating. I was ready to leave, but as soon as I got to the door, he would show up. He would take my bags into the house and tell me that he could talk things out, and said that he would not hit me anymore until it started sounding like a song. He was hitting me, cheating on me, and I was so tired of him. I was trying so hard to just raise my kids the right way that I never let them know what was going on. I had gotten to the point that I wanted to just leave him. This was only the first year, but he wouldn't let me leave. After we had been together a while, someone close to me who lived out of state wanted to come and visit us. I said, okay. She had heard about my lavish lifestyle and wanted to come out to see me. When I told him that she was coming, he got really interested and asked what she looked like and started acting like he was going to be very flirtatious around her, saying that she was going to want him. She came to town and she looked beautiful, but I found out later that she had gotten addicted to drugs. She was hiding it well, looking great on the outside, but it was still twisting her up on the inside. She arrived at my house and everything was great. I was very happy to see her and spend time with her. I had great love for her, and I had really missed California. She reminded me of home, which to me California was home. She and I had been talking about me going back to visit her and family. She did not know what I was going through. I wanted to get away from him for a while and figure out what to do. I was very interested in the idea of going. Everything was going great until one day she asked me to ask him if he could drop her off somewhere in the middle of the day. I didn't see any harm in it because I trust her and had major respect for her. I told her no problem. When he came back home, I told him I was planning on going out of town with her. He told me point blank she tried to have sex with me. I started crying and yelling at him. I was saying, you are lying. She would never do that to me, because she was someone that I truly trusted and loved. But he shot me down and told me that she had tried to touch him inappropriately and even tried to touch his area with her mouth in the car earlier when he dropped her off. He was now adding mental and psychological abuse to the mix when it came to dealing with me. He told me, I'm sorry nobody loves you, but I love you. I am the only one that loves you. He said that he feels sorry for me and I don't have anyone to love me, and that I would be stupid to go visit someone like that. Then he went on to say, you better not mention this to her. I was like, why can't I mention it to her? He said, because she knows where we live and she might get mad. He was insinuating that she seems like a vindictive person. He said, if you mention it to her, you and I will have a problem. Once again, I was being told not to tell anyone, because if I did, I would also have to deal with the consequences. When she came back to the house, I couldn't even talk to her. I looked at her face with filthy disgust and hurt. I didn't know if I wanted to scream or cry or fight her. Out of all the people in the world, I just never thought she would be the one to betray me. She was someone I looked up to. We had even been talking about me leaving and going back to California with her. All of her and I conversations were racing and replaying through my head. At the same time, I still did not completely believe him. After realizing that I was not talking to her while she was in the house, she called someone that she knew that lived in town to come pick her up. So she left my house again. When she left for a while, I did not know where she was. he had left. When he came back home, he made me make love with him while torturing me mentally by talking about her while we were in bed together. He was saying things to make me think that when she left my house the second time with her friend, that she called him and they met up. I was confused and hurt because I did not know what to believe or think. She was acting believe or think, and she was acting suspicious. It would have been easy just to ask her, except he made me promise not to mention it to her. How could someone be so evil? I cried to him and said, "Why are you doing this to me? Do you hate me?" I said, "If you hate me, just leave me alone and let me leave." He said, "No, I love you and I want you to know the type of person that she is so that you will never want to leave me and go with her again. I am the only one that loves you." After that, I retreated to the tub, about the only place I could seem to find solace when something went wrong. I felt like I had a nervous breakdown then. I cried, pulled my hair in the tub, and I screamed out loud. Why me? I cried and I cried until my head started to hurt. It hurt so bad I had thoughts of just leaving Earth. I knew I had something to live for, my small children who needed me. Then the thought of ending the pain went away. I had to calm myself. I was finally able to calm myself down and pray for clarity. I prayed for God to help me deal with this hurt, the betrayal of getting hurt by someone close to you that you trust, stabbed like a knife in my back. Only God could fix it. And he did. But the grace of God, I pulled the pieces that I had left of my back together and put a smile on my face. The day she was leaving to go back home, I still couldn't talk to her. She started asking me over and over what was wrong with me and why I wasn't even going to say goodbye to her. Finally, I said, "You know what you did and you're horrible." I looked her in the face with tears in my eyes because at that point I knew he was telling the truth. And I said to tell her, "You are really horrible. I can't believe you did this to me. I trusted you." She didn't say anything except, "What did I do?" She just left as she was leaving. She said, "I could die or anything. I could die or anything on my trip back home, and you are treating me like this." That was some real narcissistic behavior that she said had. I was in the house with two narcissistic people. I didn't talk to her for a long while, but I stayed with him for whatever reason. A year or so later, I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I was pregnant. So she was with him for a long while before she even got pregnant. Plenty of opportunities to leave his ass. I was so happy because he kept sweating me to get pregnant. He even would say, "What is wrong with you? Why can't you get pregnant?" I was not really in a rush to have another child. I already had two, and he was already showing his true colors. Once I found out I was pregnant, I was happy, thinking to myself, maybe this will complete our blended family. Maybe this is the one thing that will make him happy and he will act right. It started off nice. He was buying me all kinds of clothes and making sure I ate all the different foods that I liked. He really was spoiling me while I was pregnant. I loved ice cream and crab legs during the beginning of my pregnancy. He always made sure that I had whatever I wanted to eat, even if he came home late. He would walk through the door with what I asked for. Before I was pregnant, he had already brought me a beautiful diamond ring and proposed to me. He asked me to marry him on Valentine's Day. It was very sweet. I would think back how we were in the room at our new home, and he went down on his knee, looked up at me so sweetly and said, I want you to marry me." Of course I said okay. I wanted a family. Everything seemed to be okay. I couldn't see anything else going wrong until one day while I was around 5 months pregnant. I remember my now fiance at the time had another girl hanging around at our house whom he said was a friend of his from school. He said she can help you while you are pregnant. She befriended me and we were getting along, but all the while he was cheating on me with her. I had suspicions that they were confirmed one day when he invited me to Las Vegas with him. He also invited her to go as well. I was around 5 months pregnant. I did not find out she was going until we were there and she popped up at the hotel where we were staying. I was feeling really good before she came to the room because he had gotten my hair done, and I had a beautiful new burgundy dress with Versace heels on and a new diamond jewelry. He and I were going to the Mike Tyson fight. Everybody was in Vegas at the time. Although I was feeling down when she knocked on the door, I made the best of the situation and tried to keep the smile on my face. He called her over to me and asked her to pull up my dress. I was shocked at what was going on. He told her to touch me and she did. He said to her, "Don't she have some pretty breasts?" She was like, "Yes." I was like, "Boy, what is going on? I am pregnant and I do not want to do any of this." He had never acted like this before. I asked them right then if they ever messed around and they both said no. He and I had never done anything like that before, so I was upset thinking that they had been messing around. I was tired and pregnant, so I left the thought alone, although it lingered in the back of my mind. We took a limo to the fight and we were getting into the limo and a group of guys were like, "Damn, you look good, baby." We all thought they were talking to the other girl, his friend that was with us. The last person I thought they were talking about was me. For me to have been pregnant, my stomach was not huge, but at the same time, you could definitely tell I was with child. But when she turned around, they were like, "Not you, the pretty one with the burgundy dress on." He got so furious and squeezed my hand and started telling them that I was his girl and pulling me along to get in the car. Meanwhile, the guys were arguing with him. I could tell they were from LA because of the way they were talking. He was saying to me, "You see, that's why I do not like to bring you nowhere." Crazy, because even though he was a no good one for me, I hated to see them have to beat him up that day. So I got in the argument and was like, "Please stop." Also, not knowing if he would switch around tonight and make me have to pay for how they were acting. The girl that he was cheating on me with was not even attractive. She did have a huge butt. When a man cheats on when a man cheats, it is sometimes nothing that you do wrong. You can be a good woman to him and can be attractive. If Haley Berry got cheated on and she was known as the most beautiful actress at one time, then anybody can, as far as I'm concerned. I am glad I was able to calm that situation down because she was standing there looking lost and I was mentally disturbed to try to stop someone from beating up a man that abuses me. But he and I really needed God. We just did not know it then. He physically abused continued that his physical abuse continued even when I was pregnant. We went back home and things continued to get worse as my stomach continued to grow. Once we were having an argument about him going out of town and taking a girl that I knew liked him. He claimed that she was going along for the other friends. I asked him why I cannot come along as well. He said that I was pregnant. I said, "Well, if I'm pregnant, you know that this girl likes you. She calls my house playing on my phone and asking for you, knowing that she is irritating me. Why would you put that stress on me?" I felt like he should not go, and I said it. He pushed me, and I fell down the stairs, but fortunately, there was no damage to the baby, although I had to be on bed rest for a period of time. While still pregnant with my daughter and still on bed rest, so she's pregnant with Rose at the time, he pushed her, she fell downstairs. Um, but it did result in her needing to be on bed rest. While still pregnant with my daughter and still on bed rest, now I am about 8 months pregnant. We had another incident that made me say I am done this time. While at home on a winter night, the kids were at the babysitter's and I was cooking gravy and steak for him. He was going on and on to his friends about his ex-wife, the one that he caught cheating on him. I said under my breath, "I hate when he talks about her." Well, he heard me and he decided it was time to shut me up. So he came over and started punching me in the face. He kept on doing it until his friends finally told him to stop. My nose was bleeding and my lip was busted. There was blood all over the floor, hot gravy splashed all over the kitchen. I had every reason to feel insecure about his ex-wife and mother of his other children because She would come around and she was still sleeping with him sometimes and always found a way to make it known. She knew about our engagement and the baby on the way. She was pretending that she was trying to be my friend. He was like the devil, but I couldn't get away from him. Child, that man was a mess. He was a mess long before the conception of Rose Miller. Let me get through some of these comments. We covered a lot. Like, have y'all liked the video? We get through these comments. Amanda says, so Rose does tell the truth about some stuff she sounds. I remember she said about the bag. Queen says, that's the struggle with dark-skinned women we go through. Let me see where I left off in the camp. Those older two boys got to hear about racism in their own home and outside of the home. Yeah, sure. Even if it isn't stated in the household, children can pick up the outside the home. They can. Vicky says, wait until one of the kids utters the first FU to her because they hear her speak like that and constantly on a daily basis. Yes. Oh, yeah. They're going to hit her with that. Justice says, this is a page turn. Thanks for sharing, Sheik. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Have you all hit the like button? Amanda says that Vicky 4 was on her live today addressing people being rude. For instance, OMG. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Kathleen said he wasn't cussing. Let me see what else at the dad. Let's see. Yeah, the children's going to pick up, the behaviors in the home. It's learned behavior. It is definitely learned behavior. It's learned behavior. But it's a lot. This is her mother's story. So far, this is up to, we're on chapter 6. So we're kind of pretty much at like a halfway point in this book. But up until this point, I see a lot of similarities between Rose and her mother, as far as with the toxicity in their relationships, personal, like with insecurities and things like that. Rose's mom's insecurity was developed at the hands of her father. Rose's insecurity to me seems like it was developed potentially probably from both sides. Because I don't see why the father, if he didn't make it known, if given that he made it known to Rose's mother kind of what his preference was, I don't see why he hadn't kind of made it known to Rose at some point, or, Rose wouldn't have heard him make some comments about, skin tones, complexions, and things like that. So these insecurities run deep with her, as I've been saying since I've been talking about her starting over the summer. These are things that are rooted through childhood. Rose grew up in a home with seeing her mother just kind of turn the other way just for a lifestyle. Because basically, let's keep it real, mama was around for the lifestyle. She was around for the lifestyle. And from what we see with Rose, many of us feel like she's in her situation, for the lifestyle. And even though it's not a lifestyle necessarily that the man that Brett's providing her, it's the facade. And just with being on YouTube, the family channel is centered around just her life being the wife to this white man, them having this blended family. It's just the storyline. It's just the facade, like the illusion. That's what she grew up seeing. So for her, this is just what you do. Like my mom did it. Why? This is what we do. Just because these cowards are taking care of financial business does not make them Mr. Right. Ariane says, I can imagine what the old teacher from Arizona is saying about those kids. It's a big mess. Pam says, OMG, he punched her in the face. Yep, he did. And a lot of times, a person uh, if they know that you're, the person who they're abusing is someone who's viewed as being attractive, like that's just the way that to try to break you down. They'll try to attack things like your looks, your face, something that they know that people find to be attractive. It's the insecurity, the jealousy. So I believe he, punched her in the face to just bruise her pretty face because he knew that she was an attractive woman, from the aesthetics. It sounds like she wasn't someone that you would put her with him. They weren't physically compatible. And we see that a lot of times with a man and a woman. The man, he got the money and he not all that attractive, but he's with a beautiful woman. And a man's currency is his resources, a woman currency, it's her beauty. And this is a classic case of that. I feel like he, attacked her and went for her face to kind of his way to bring her down a notch because he was jealous of like the attention and things that she would get. Remember when they went to Vegas and the men complimented her and told her how beautiful she was and all of that. He was jealous of her. This was a man that was jealous of his woman. He had his own insecurities. Kathleen said, everyone has a history. The future story can only change if you make the changes. It's scary, hard, and a lot of work. It is possible. Yes, it's very possible. It's very possible. And for me, when it comes to stats and statistical information, things like that, I like to look at data because you really just see the picture of just what's really happening. And you can choose uh, what part of the statistics you want to be a part of. To me, I look at numbers as like an accountability. So if the stats are favored against me, to me, I look at it as like a motivator to kind of go against it, to go against the grain, to do something else, to create a different story. I've done that in different areas of my life, based off the stats, being a child of a teen parent, um, being a child without, a father being around. Like, so there, but, with looking at stats, I don't fall into a lot of that as far as what the life that I chose to make for myself because I put in the work to create the life that I wanted. And I always find it far easier to just go with the grain and fall into those stats versus to go against it to do something different. It's always easier to go down the wrong path than the right path. Like that, that's just the way it is. It takes more effort to try to do something different that's usually more favorable. It's easier just like, okay, I'm just gonna do what everybody else been doing. Like, F it, let me just do what everybody else been doing. And so what they say, the least explored path, that's usually the one that's going to have like probably more resistance. And a lot of times people don't want to go that way because of the resistance, but more often than not, that's going to be the more favorable outcome by going that least explored path. So that is what I had in mind as I was making my decisions in life, as far as like what I wanted from my life, whether it be, okay, getting higher education, getting married first, then having children. Like, y'all, I was like really deep in thought from that standpoint because I knew when I looked around in my family, the things that I said I was wanting, I wasn't seeing, but I knew that it was possible. That just because I wasn't seeing it in my family and my immediate circle that way, I knew that it didn't mean that it wasn't possible. I just knew that I just had to be the one to be the first to do it in hopes that maybe those to follow or other people close to me and my family, they can just, I can be an example, a motivator to them. So I'm the oldest of 4 children. So I'm kind of used to being the one to do things first and being the example. So I didn't really have someone to look to as my example of, okay, this is the way you should do. Like what the people I had to look to did things a different way. So I had to take a chance to say, okay, I'm gonna try to do something different because I see what it looks like if I do what everybody else been doing, and I don't like the outcome. So let me just take a chance and try something different. What do I have to lose? That was my thought process. And as Janarda's mama talked about at points when she thought about leaving, this is before she even got pregnant with Rose, she said she was fearful of what life would look like on the other side if she left. That is what I'm talking about. It's the unknown that a lot of times that keep people in effed up situations, because they're like, okay, I know ish effed up, but at least I know what I'm getting each and every day. I know I'm dealing with a nut. I know he likes this. I know he likes that. Like I kind of still kind of know what I'm working with, even though it don't make me feel good, but I know. It's the unknown that a lot of people just cannot rock with. They like it. I can't take a chance on unknown. That's not me. My personality has always been open to the unknown, because I'm like, well, fuck, I already know what this is. I don't know what that is. So let me take a chance over there, because goddamn, I already know what's on the left. I don't know what's on the right, but I know what the hell on the left. So let me just take a chance and see what's on the right. That's the type of person I am. But you have a lot of people who are like, fuck that. I know what's on the left. I don't know what's on the right. So I'm just going to keep going to the left. I think more often than not, people do that. And that's when they get effed up, and they have a whole situation because they moving out of fear. And Janarda was a woman who moved out of fear. Queen of Queen says she lost anything that was pretty about her. Yeah, it was intentional. Queen of Queens said, hey, Chic, I'm late. Hello, welcome, 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 welcome. Have you all hit the like button? Yes. So we got through the first half. I'm going to probably do two shows of this, because it's like 100 pages. So we're like right at the midpoint, and we're at the 2.5 hour mark of this live. So we'll do a part 2 of this book. It's a really good book, definitely a page turner. I hope for you all, just even when you just think about Rose and just her and what she's going through, how she behaves, it helps you to kind of understand. And it's not really nothing about making excuses. It's just understanding, like, damn, we see why Ish effed up for her. But as adults, we have the responsibility to get the help, get the healing that we need, in order to just be better individual, be better people. And that's the responsibility that she has for the purpose of breaking cycles. What I feel like with Rose, even if you all watched her video, was that when her and her husband, I think they called like T is for testimony. To me, she's too heavily focused on just the marriage part. She's not focused enough on what the happenings within the marriage. And that's that part that she really has to focus on. What's happening in the home, not the fact that, okay, we're going to stay married because we made this vow. What is happening within this relationship? Is it healthy? What is the impact on you, your psyche, your mentals, your emotional state? What is the impact on your children? That is the part that she is missing. That's that part to where, even in Janarda said in this book, and as I've said, the mental and emotional abuse is far worse than the physical abuse, because the physical abuse, the bruises on the face, the broken bones, more often than not, those heal. You will heal. You might be left with some permanent scarring or reminders that you were battered, but it's that emotional, the psychological abuse. That's that lingering abuse that sticks around. And to me, I feel like that's the part that Rose is discounting. She's discounting that part. And that's the part that her children are also going to be feeling the effects of down the line, because they're hearing the arguments, the toxic things that the mom and dad, they're saying to each other. And as someone said in these comments, the kids are going to start to repeat it back to the parents, and they're going to repeat it to their siblings. And then they're going to be saying these things to people outside. And people are like, damn, where'd you learn this from? Because they're hearing it in the house. She's downplaying it. And it's all for the sake of just being able to say, I'm married, we're still together. F that. Like, what is the quality of your situation? Bump, okay, we still together. Is this shit working? Sometimes it's not working, and you just got to bow out and accept that it's not working. It is not working. And it be that way. It's not working. And from what we see on the internet with them, their situation, it's not working. And the sad part about it is that there are children involved. I always say the game changes when you have children involved. When you're dealing with two grown-ups and they choosing to be toxic, okay, well, may the good Lord be with you. But when you got children involved in a situation, y'all, that's the game changer. That's when it's not even about you. That's when it's be like, you know what? I can't stay in this situation because my kids are a part. I can't allow for them to have to endure this, to witness this. I'm pretty sure those Janarda's kids, they witnessed bruises on their mother, even if they per se did not witness their stepfather. Because at this point, before Rose was born, they have a stepfather. Even if they did not witness him laying hands and feet on their mother, they did see their mom, their beautiful mom, have bruises on her face. They seen this. They know what the hell they damn mama looked like. They knew that their mama didn't have that black eye the night before. They know. They see their mama moving like some shit hurt on her. Like, kids aren't crazy. So even if they weren't actually physically seeing the abuse, they likely heard it. I know I heard stuff, you heard it. It was enough to be traumatized, to traumatize you, to have you not be able to sleep because you're up worrying. So, I know what that experience is like. It weighs on you. It creates goddamn bad nerves. I had bad nerves as a child because you're just worried about things that you shouldn't be worried about. You're worrying about the safety of your mom. Even when nothing, I didn't have any abuse, nothing was done onto me or my siblings, but still, abuse is taking place on your mom. So, this is at the hands of a stepfather where the abuse was taking place. So, this, and my memory goes back as young as like 3, being taught how to dial 911 at like 3 or 4 by my aunts. Just seems like, if it happens again, do this. Like, child, I remember that. I remember that conversation like it was yesterday. So I was like 3 or 4. So children remember these things and it impacts them. So for me, remember, a lot of times the stats will show that someone, say like myself, should have been in a relationship like that. For me, I worked very hard to pay attention to signs to not be in relationships like that. So I did the complete opposites, which a lot of times takes more effort to go against the grain. So I paid attention to, okay, what kind of tone somebody has? What is their temperament? You got too much bass in your voice. You trying to act like my daddy. Let me stop you right here. You ain't finna goddamn be fucking telling me what I need to be doing, what I need to be doing. Like, I was nipping that like early on out the gate because I paid attention to, I knew certain signs and things like that. So that is what I did as a way to protect myself. So I've never been in a bad or abusive, any type of abusive relationship. But that shit was intentional because this is just not what I wanted for myself. So I just my goddamn screening was on point. Fuck that. I wasn't finna be a goddamn statistic on the side of having my ass. Like, I wasn't finna do it. So that is what I did. But more often than not, women will just end up in the same types of situation. And Rose, it said that, she's is believed that she is in a similar type of situation. And much like how her mother's situation is, Rose is in a situation where it's almost like where you have the isolation, you're away from your family. Now, what we're not going to say is, Brett has isolated her. I don't feel like he's isolated her from her family because, hell, it was her goddamn idea to move to Hawaii. So I don't feel like any isolation is taking place at the hands of his. But at the same time, he does know that she doesn't have a good relationship with her family, not the way he has with his family. So he knows he has the advantage in that area. He knows that. You're the predator. They know that. They know where your weaknesses lie. He knows that, okay, he said on camera, Rose, if I'm not here, your nerves are bad. You can't handle these kids by yourself. And she acknowledged, like, yeah, you're right. I do be going through it. I can't handle, like, she's acknowledged that, yeah, it's hard. She can't handle those kids by herself. And he knows that. So guess what? He knows that he can always, point that out to her, like, okay, well, you don't want to go be by yourself with these 4 kids. He knows what the advantage he has over her. So believe me, that comes up. And she rules it in because she don't want to be out here by herself as a single parent, like the Black women, the people she talk about, because y'all know she will shade the hell out of her people who follow her, which a lot of them are probably Black women who aren't she acknowledged most of her followers are Black women. I think they are Black women. And if they are Black women, based on stats, most of their asses aren't married. So they're single Black women because most Black women are not married. And then it's likely that a good number of those Black women are mothers, single mothers, and she constantly will shade the hell out of those same people who follow her, who supports her, who buys her shit from Amazon, who sends her super chats. She makes these comments to these people. So right now, for her to wind up in a situation like these people who she shade the fuck out of on a regular, that is not an option for her. So she is willing to die on the cross before she let people see that she is in a situation where she is a single parent out here, where she is a baby mama, a two-time over baby mom. That is not an option for her in her mind. So she will rather keep this shit going, as effed up as it may be. As effed up as it may be, she's willing to keep it going, just like her mama was willing to keep it going for her own financial gain, for selfish reasons. For selfish reasons, because her mother's saying it was for selfish reasons. It wasn't for the kids. It was materialistic. Like, she was doing fine before she got with him. She was holding it down. It was selfish reasons. Her mama didn't stay with that man for her kids. She stayed with that man for herself. She stayed with that man for herself, just like Rose is staying with Brett for herself. It's selfish, but this is what it looks like when you do things for selfish reasons, for when you're not doing it for the right reasons. This is exactly what you get. Justice says he was absolutely insufferable. Yeah. And listen, so Mama Janarda's talking about how abusive Rose's father was, where you can't tell Rose that her daddy don't walk on water. You cannot tell her that her daddy do not walk on water. Her daddy is everything. So here it is. This same man who did all this stuff to her mom, she has nothing but good things to say about that man. I've heard her even say, like, gloated on, well, that's why he beat her, abused her while she was pregnant with me. Like, what? Like, I don't understand how much can you be at odds with your mom to feel as though the abuse that she got at the hands of your father was warranted just because you mad. And she was pregnant with you, which means that you're lucky that you were able to even be birthed, because she said that, hell, at one point he pushed her when she was pregnant and she fell down the stairs. And it just resulted in her just needing to be bedridden throughout the rest of the pregnancy. She was like 8 months pregnant. So there's a lot of trauma here. There's a lot of trauma here that started well before Rose was even brought into this world. And it's very sad. It's very sad. But what we see that she gives, what Rose gives, like, it makes sense. It really makes sense. Bless says, so Rose mad because mom left abuse because Rose wanted her to stay. Yeah. Because of the lifestyle. Rose she liked this. She was comfortable. The mom hiding it and doing the best she could to hide it from everybody. Rose felt like, okay, well, hell, why you just can't keep doing that? We good. That's what she grew up seeing. So that's how she's able to easily do it, because she grew up seeing her mom do it until her mom couldn't do it anymore. And when her mom couldn't do it anymore, Rose got in her feelings like, bitch, why? Like, you been doing it. Why you can't still fake the funk? You've been doing it all these years. Like, why we got to change? So literally Rose entire life up until mom left, she's seen, her daddy was beating on her mama, because this started before she was even conceived and throughout during the pregnancy. So Rose knew her mama was being abused, but she was a child at the time, and she had rose glasses on, and the way that she protected herself is that she just kind of went in, turned on blinders, and just developed like this tunnel vision way of just looking straight forward, creating an act like that. She just got used to doing it, and she was just like, bet this is just what we gonna do because we got a good life. I'm comfortable. And when mama was like, okay, I can't do this no more, Rose like, well, damn, why not? Hell, why not? And then she just didn't forgive the mom, when the mom finally is like, no, enough is enough. I can't do it. And Rose has been pissed off since. And as we see in Rose's on current life, she's doing the same thing. She's just dealing with whatever for a dime or a dollar. She's doing the same exact thing. She's doing the same thing that she expected her mother to do, to continue to do. Her mom just finally stopped, but Rose is still in it. She's still doing it. Rose is 6 years into her relationship, 3 years into her marriage. And this is what she's doing. This is, it's very sad. Justice says, is he Jamaican or is that another fairy tale of Rose? She says her father, I think, is first generation Jamaican descent here. So apparently her dad, the mom, I haven't picked up her talking about anything with Jamaican ancestry in this book as of yet. But when Rose has talked about Jamaican, it did come from her dad's side. I think I heard Brett say that Rose's father is first generation Jamaican. Bless says Rose mean like her dad. Her mom said needed to be abused. Yep. I heard her mom say that. She said Rose is very hard-headed and she's like, she looks like me, but she's mean like her dad. She says she has her dad temper. And we see how her daddy is. We see how her daddy is. So, and Rose has said, when she gets upset, she just can spew out and say anything. And Brett understands, and she just doesn't understand why we don't accept and understand, because he understands and gets over it. So she's like, well, the rest of you all on the internet should do the same, because he understands that's just how I am. Like, she has this mentality, just like it seemed like Rose's father did, of, well, this is just who I am. You just got to deal with it. What? Like, it's no accountability. It's just their life is just like, it's just who I am, and you just deal with it. Who's trying to sign up for that? Who's trying to deal with all that? Finally, clearly, her mama's like, fuck that, I got to go. Eventually, I think she eventually gave that man like 2 kids. I think she gave Rose dad 2 kids, because I think she gave Rose dad eventually a son, which is right underneath Rose. But the mama still eventually, threw in the towel and was able to survive and walk away from it. And like I said, a lot of people don't survive and walk away from the situation. But she finally eventually left. Rose right now doing goddamn videos talking about, I'm in it to win it. We are in this together forever, coming off of days from allegedly the husband catching a charge, dealing with some type of family abuse. We don't know who the abuse was on to, but the paperwork is saying family abuse. Family abuse. So, but to save face, she willing to get on the camera and put up the facade, just like her mother did for many, many years. The cycle, breaking cycles, the title of her mother book, Breaking Cycles, a story of breaking cycles of abuse. It's very sad. Bless said her oldest needs to go to his dad to have a chance for a better life. Yes, I believe both of the two older boys, both need to go to their father and have a chance for a better life. I think that's the only way they'll really have a fighting chance, but they need to do it like now, because eventually it can get too late to where the boys, as they become men, they're going to already just develop, they're going to have their ways, they're going to be set in their ways, and it's just going to be hard to just undo all of that. I mean, they're going to need counseling. Like, even right now, if they were to go live with their dad, they probably would still need to go through some type of counseling. It's just, they're not that little anymore. Like, they're pretty big. So these boys, I mean, it's a sad situation, but I can see a cycle. I can see the cycle, and it's not a pretty one, but I see this cycle. And to me, it looks like it's going to be another cycle of abuse. It's sad to say, but the signs are here. I'm not seeing signs of the cycles being broken. All Rose is focused on is staying married, but nothing else. And it's just like, girl, like, there's more to this shit than, okay, just being married. Like, it's the stuff that goes on in the marriage. It's that part. It's that part. It's that part. And that's the part that she doesn't really get. It's that part. And because that's the part that she's not really putting that work in like that, her and her husband aren't putting that work in like that, that's the part that has the relationship to be just looking very bleak. Thank you. To be looking very bleak, and which will negatively impact the children, which I'm convinced that it's currently negatively impacting the children psychologically. I heard the conversation on Champagne's channel. She posted a video with the son rated. No, maybe it was Roz. I don't know which one. Maybe it was with the older boy. One of the sons talking to Adonis, the father. Thank you. Talking to the father about, telling him, hey, I'm your dad, right? You can come and see me. Just because me and your mom argue doesn't mean like, so I was just happy to at least that he was able to even talk to his boys. Cause I'm like, okay, I wonder what prompted Rose to even allow the son to even call the dad to talk to him, because I was just happy that Adonis was able to talk to his son. And Adonis sounded very sincere, like he missed his son. The son was listening, and um, it was a sweet yet sad conversation. But I just wish that they can have physical time together, because those boys need their dad. They need their dad. They need their dad. Like they need their dad. Like now, like they really need him. And just through prayer, hopefully he'll be able to get access to his boys. And, he reminded his son of the good times that they used to have together. And he told him, yes, when you're here, if you do things that are bad, you'll be punished, just like when you're at your mom's house. It's no different. So don't think that, okay, being over here at our house with me and your stepmom is a bad place because you get punished if you do something wrong. But, we have good times over here too. So don't focus on, oh, with the time when you got in trouble. So it was a really good, healthy conversation he had with his son, but it was just sad for children to have to be put in the middle of conflict between adults, between parents, because that's exactly what's happening. The kids, are being put in the middle between the issues that their parents have. And it's like, what do you do? It's just a sad situation, y'all. But getting into the story, Janata Makison's story, it's just like, this was a woman that was very broken when she brought Rose into this world. So she was a young mom trying to do the best she could with raising her children, and in an abusive relationship, and the children were affected by it. And Rose is an example or a product of this abusive relationship, and we can see how she easily could have been affected. And we can see now today, fast forward nearly 30 years later, because she's about to be 30 in December, how her as an adult, how this is still how this abuse that was taking place before she even was born into this world, how it has affected her life. It has affected her life. It's still in present time in 2024 is affecting this woman's life. And now this woman, Rose, is a mother to 4 boys. And guess what? It's affecting their lives. So we talk about cycles. We're already looking in this book, then covered about 3 or 4 generations easy, as a mom has been telling stories. So this cycle is not showing any signs of being broken, not with Rose. We can hope for the best when the kids have kids, but with Rose, we're not seeing where the cycle is being broken. We're seeing the repetition. We're seeing the repetition. Bless says the time the oldest called the dad on the iPad saying that they was home alone, and she found out because their dad was upset about that. And I think it went downhill after that. Oh, so he called the dad. Because I'm like, damn, Rose letting them talk to the daddy. So that makes sense. Because I was wondering, you bought one? I was wondering, how did that conversation take place? But that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that, Blessed. But either way, it was meant for him to be able to talk to his dad. And I just hope that the kids will have that memory of just even having that conversation with their dad, even after, the mom scolded them or they got in trouble. I hope that those words that they heard their dad say will still continue to forever follow them. So to the contrary of whatever she or stepdad may be saying in the house, they'll always remember the words that he told to them, and it's on the internet and she can't control that. It's still up. I listened to it today. So as of today, it was still up on Champagne's page. If you all haven't listened to it, it's still up. You can go to Champagne's page and listen to it. But I'm just glad the kids had that conversation. Who knows when the next time they'll have another conversation with him like that. It may be a conversation that they will have to hold on in their memories and their hearts for a long time to get them through challenging days. And sometimes it be like that. You have that memory of a person, and that's just when you go to bed at night or when you feeling lonely or hurt, that's what you got to reflect on and you got to hold on to. And it's just a blessing that at least they still have that. And it's unfortunate if they, had to, be severely reprimanded for calling him. But it's sad for a child to have to be reprimanded for reaching out to their parent. I don't understand how any of this can take place for him to be able to just be completely removed from their lives like that and still be on child support. Because she's acknowledged she pays child support. She has acknowledged that. So how do you acknowledge, okay, him not seeing the kids? I don't get that part. I don't get that part at all because he does pay. Francis says, for a Latina, I'm considered dark skinned. My husband is light skinned, and out of our four kids, two are brown like me, and two are light skinned. That's the thing with kids with genetics. You don't know what they're going to come out, how they going to look. You don't know. That's why you love them all the same. You treat them equal. You let them know, okay, just because one look this way don't mean one better. Like that's what you do because, um, especially, when they got the same DNA, the same genetics. Like I said, two of my three kids are light skinned, but like my daughter, she's light skinned like my husband, but she got my face. So she's just a light skinned version of me, and so it's like a child can have a different complexion of you, but they'll look just like you. So then my oldest son, he has my face too, but he also looks like his dad, but he looks just like me too, very defined, a stoic, like a model-esque face, strong feet, strong jawline, high cheekbones. So just picture me as just with a masculine, just very nice model-esque face. That's what my 19-year-old looks like. So I have defined cheekbones. So my oldest son, he has that same physical characteristic of me, but he's the darker one of the three. He's the darker one of the three. Very handsome, but he's the darker one. But he has my face. He got my face. Very defined features. My son face, like he literally can be like a model. He's tall. So you love your kids the same. I love all my kids the same. So Francis, I understand that when you got the different shades of, in the household and to me, I think it's a great place when the household does look that way because those kids know when they go outside that there's light isn't better than dark because just even within their household, they're seeing it. So if you're raising them right, you're raising them to know that, okay, well, regardless of what my skin tone look like, that'll make me more superior or me less superior because we're the same. And like they're learning it in the house before they even go outside. So that's how I look at it, when it comes to my kids with them seeing, uh the different skin tones or whatever. I mean, that's all it is. But we see where Rose, it was in her world as she was growing up, it was deeper than that. She saw differential treatment based on skin tone, featureism, hair texturism. Like she saw the difference. She heard little comments that were being made that made it seem as though having one thing over another was better. Even maybe if, I don't know. She's talked about the mom doing certain things. What I think she said, what pinching her nose to try to make it skinnier, just little crazy things. But these are psychological things that will stick with somebody. Like this shit all makes sense because the mama has described physical features a lot in this book, and ain't nobody look like Rose that she described. Nobody she didn't describe. Everybody was light skinned with long hair, silky hair. Everybody looked Indian. The only person she described that had a feature of Rose was, I think, a grandmama, somebody who had high cheekbones, the high defined cheekbones. That was the only feature that she described as somebody that Rose has. Otherwise, no, these people weren't people that looked like Rose or who Rose came to view as like to Rose. Those people who look different from her were considered beautiful. So for her now, out of her four children, the two younger ones are what are considered beautiful because growing up, people who looked that way were the ones considered beautiful, the more favored ones. That was what her experience was. And now that she has children, she's doing that same foolishness with them, pointing and telling the younger ones that basically you're perfect. You're perfect. If I hear her say that, like, you can say you're perfect, but goddamn it, say to all the babies you perfect. You don't just say it to one, you say it to all the babies. It's crazy that as long we've been listening to her, none of us can say we ever heard her compliment the two older ones that look like her. Like, that's insane. I don't get it. That's insane. How do you not share the same love amongst all your children, y'all? It's a lot, but we got through half this book. Mama Janarda got her story. We're here for it. We trying to understand. Let me check out my poll. I did a poll because I wanted to know, how people felt. Were they here for hearing this story? So it's been 113 votes. 54% said yes, 20% said no, and 26% was like, I'm on the fence. So y'all let me know in the comments, how do y'all feel so far about this story? Does it help to shed light on anything that's going on with Rose and what we see play out on this internet? Does it help, to us to understand it? And it's not about making excuses. It's just to try to damn understand. And as I've covered with reviewing her content, it has always been from a place of trying to damn understand, trying to understand what the hell is playing out, because a lot of times people focus on the surface and just look at the action of what someone's doing. But me, I'm a root cause person. So I want to understand, where the fuck this come from? Where does this mindset come from? Why is she doing this? Because if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm going to continue to ask questions. And that's why I get to dig in. And if any of you are new to my channel, her mother, Janarda, did an interview on another channel. I think the channel is called Benji AdSense. And I reviewed the interview he did with the mother. So you can check that out on this channel. And in the title, it'll say, interview with Janarda Makeup-Sin. So it'll be something like that. But look in the title. I did that probably a month or so ago. But I did that for the purpose of wanting to understand her mother's story. Because again, I like to try to understand. I'm a root cause person, and my background is clinical mental health counseling. I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. So I feel like a lot of things that us as adults that we demonstrate as adults, a lot of it is rooted from just things that took place with us during our childhood. More often than not, I think 90% of the things that we as adults do is rooted from just some childhood trauma, some things that took place. And I happen to be someone who's interested in exploring what that is, what happened, because I don't know, for me, it just helps me to just understand what's playing out if I can kind of trace it back to the history. And it allows for me to have more empathy, just more understanding. I know a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people are just like, this person just effed up. Listen, that's all. Listen, they just effed up. I'm not, and then they put a period on it. That's not me. I want to know why, what happened, So that's me being the person who always asks questions. What happened? And so that's why I want to hear the mom's story. So in that interview, some of these things in this book, she kind of talked about. And back then, someone in the comments had suggested that I review the book. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe. And I kind of let the idea go. But right before I went on vacation, it came to me and I said, you know what? After coming off of reviewing Kim Porter's Lost Words book on my backup channel, she speaks on it. Check out that if you haven't. I was like, I want to do another book reading. And then that's when I decided to read Janarda's book, because I knew it wasn't, nothing too long. But I was like, let's see what she has to say. And then ironically, coming back from vacation, I learned about this whole alleged DV incident, this alleged abuse incident with Brett and him getting arrested. And then the mom's book got delivered, to my home while I was on vacation. So I'm like, bet this is right on time. Let's get into the mama's story, because it seems like baby girl has found herself in a similar situation. And so let's hear what the mom had to say and how she managed to navigate through that whole ordeal, because a lot of times people don't walk away from it, not with all their body parts, or not even, they don't even walk away breathing. Like we all know, it don't always have a happy ending. And her mom's story with leaving her, Rose's father was able to have a happy ending, meaning that she's still with us. She is still with us, and she looks happy and is thriving in life, running her business in California. So that's what I would consider a success story. So now that her daughter has found herself in a toxic situation similar to hers, I just feel like these things that her mom has to say about her own story would be very beneficial to Rose. Rose needs to maybe, I would imagine her being her mother's daughter, her mom at some point has shared details of her story. Maybe she needs to stop and just sit and read the book, because apparently this is the second time the mom put the book out there. I think the first time, she just put it out there as the first one, and she wasn't quite satisfied with the end result, so she redid it to just tweak it to make it better. So I hope that Rose has read at least one of the books to really, know her mom's story and to just understand, because it maybe be able to help her through these times that she has found herself in. Because I truly believe no one intentionally plans to just enter into an abusive situation. Like, nobody just goes and signs up for that. Like, you wound up in a situation, and now there are signs of things that I think a lot of times people miss, but in actuality, I don't think that people just wake up and be like, okay, I'm just about to go and get in this abusive relationship. But it happens all the time, and it's very unfortunate. Charlene says, personally, don't believe a word either of them say. Listen, Charlene said they all be goddamn lying. Francis says, yes, Charlene, she's way too much like Cactus. So, yep, we getting through the book. You all can form your opinions as we are turning these pages. Me, when it comes to this book and so far what she's saying, um, I'm inclined to believe, what she's saying as far as her story thus far in this book, in regards to the abuse. That's just I'm just gonna let y'all know, anybody come to me with details about being abused, y'all gonna have my ear. I'm gonna believe you until there's otherwise it has me to say no, you lying, because that's just me. When someone's being abused or say they're abused, I'm gonna first go with, okay, the exploration of it being true, because I know it happens so much. I know it happens so much. So I wanted to definitely get through her mom's story, so therefore you all can kind of form your opinions. Handy says, Chic, thank you for your transparency. Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for listening and going through this book reading with me. It's a lot, and we're going to pick back up on it. So stay tuned. But we're going to pick back up on the part 2 of her mother, Janarda Makeup-Sin's story, and, see how it ends. We're halfway through. So the next time we pick back up, we should be able to get through the second half of the book. But I feel like a lot of us, there are things that many of us can learn from this, and some of you may can relate to some of the moments that have taken place in her mom's story, or of people who experience similar things. At the rate of domestic violence, child, either you were a victim or somebody near and dear to you was a victim. It's just the way it is, because it happens so frequently, unfortunately. Ariane said, thank you, Sheik. It was fun. Thank you all. Thank you all. Make sure you also are following me on my backup channel, Sheik Speaks on It. Sheik Speaks on It. Make sure you're following me over there. So I've been kind of putting out a lot of content over there. So lately it's been heavy Diddy and all the shenanigans going on with him. Child, he go back to court, I think, on Thursday. So I may pick back up maybe Thursday on that, after we learn, how things turned out for him at court. But things every day have just been unfolding with him. So stay tuned. Make sure you have your notification bells on. And as far as on this channel, stay tuned. You all know that I drop my workout videos that are typically very random, and they're usually in the AM. And then, look for me to be scheduling the part 2 of this book reading, Breaking Cycles, a story of breaking cycles of abuse, by Janarda Makeup-Sin, Rose Miller of Queen of Kings. This is her mother's story of surviving DV. So again, I thank each and every one of you. Remember, take care of yourselves and take care of one another. Be the light that you want shine onto you. So remember, like attracts like. Like attracts like. So be good, be positive energy. in turn for you to receive that same goodness and positive energy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shirlene. Thank you, everyone. You all have a wonderful night. And until the next broadcast, peace.